if there's more than two or something.
There was an issue about the meeting or the items that have to be noticed, so you'd have to stick to a date.
Well, but you can notice them again, right?
And I don't know if it's fair to the applicants if like it's not their fault if there's only two items.
I mean, maybe we just table it and reassess if we have another 6 months in a row of really, really light agendas. It seemed like it was summer and fall, but then it makes sense because a lot of applications come in at the end of the year. And now we're going to probably have a busier winter and spring again.
I think like my main point I was making at the last meeting was just that if there's a lot of different items on the agenda that we don't have enough time to like review all of them the night before or the week before. And then also if we miss a meeting, you're also missing like maybe 10 or 12 different meetings at once. And that might be
different items
the rest of the year. But just having a work day after the meeting was nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Lump, right? Like it's happening, you know.
Yeah. Just happen to we're taking the vote when we have 8 items, which has been rare.
Just come up with a good rationale why that happened. I thought it was because of changes in the county application process, approval process.
It is. We did talk to Travis and Seward about it, and we will probably be getting fewer applications because there's more restrictions on what can come to us, and that will keep going. So I think we just leave it open to discussion if if we've had a slew of really tiny agendas.
But I agree with Peter too that not only does it seem better for the applicants to know that there's going to be bi-monthly meetings, but to come here briefly and then go to a work day is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Rather than losing Friday completely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since we have a vote agendized, we can take a vote and
we can take it off the agenda.
Okay. All right.
Take no action and then there will be no vote.
Okay. So we'll just formally we'll just carry on with the agenda as proposed in David's without before we did the markup on it. So
absolutely.
All right. And then agenda status report.
Yes, we have 2 items to be continued. Item 3 is the 25 BAR-00118 Santa Barbara Volleyball Club new gymnasium. Would like to be continued to the January 23rd hearing.
Item 3.
Yeah, and that would require a vote. And item 6 would like to be continued to the January 23rd agenda as well, but that one will require a vote.
Okay, all those in favor of allowing item 3 to continue to the January or
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
6 doesn't need a vote.
And I'm going to have to recuse and present for items 1 and 5.
okay, yeah, just we can make a note then. Does anyone have any comments on item 1 or any of them?
For me.
Oh, I believe only the ones that can vote would be Kier, Robert, Josh, and Alex, right? Or no, sorry.
I think Val was here too.
Valerie.
Looks like it was just Amy and I.
Yeah.
Okay. We ready to make a motion?
Second,
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second,
Correction.
I'll second.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Vote carries 5-0 with 2 abstentions.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be presenting for items 1 and 5.
Any other briefings? Okay, move on to the staff update. Yes, Joe?
Hey, Joe, can you hear us?
Hey, Joe.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, perfect.
Do you have anything
Is
for
it,
the staff update?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Happy New Year, happy 2026. No updates from me this morning.
Great, thanks. Happy New Year. All right, and we'll move on to the consent agenda.
There were 2 items on the consent agenda. The first one is Leach accessory structures at 4613 Via Ruby, approved as submitted. The second one is the Anderson Wall at 315 Pebble Hill Drive, approved with the condition that the applicant submit a landscape plan in front of the wall, meaning the name of the bushes that they will be planted, and the name and number of the bushes to be planted, to the landscape architect on the board for final approval.
And I think the recommendation was to use either a vine or a taller leafy shrub to help screen the wall and fence.
Very good. Okay. Did you get that, Joe? Did you get that comment?
Yes, I got that.
Yeah,
I
great.
did. I
Thank
got
you.
that comment.
So I move for approval of the consent calendar.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we'll move on to item 1. The Vernon demo rebuild of accessory structures. Yeah, item 1 is Via Huerto. Okay. All right, good morning. So item 1, Vernon demo rebuild of accessory structures, request of Sean Lynch of Oak Design, agent for Brett and Stephanie Vernon, here for preliminary and final review of the demo of a 1,920 square foot single family dwelling and a 400 square foot attached garage in construction of a 6,091 square foot single family dwelling with habitable basement, 731 square foot attached garage, 300 square foot garage, and a 374 square foot attached trellis, few attached trellises, and a 445 square foot detached cabana. The project includes a 6-foot tall entry gates, in-ground pool, perimeter fencing, hardscape and landscape improvements. The following structures currently exist. A residence of 2,112 square foot and a garage of 440 square feet. The grading includes 205 cubic yards of cut and equal fill. It's a 2-acre parcel located at 4655 Via Huerto in the Hope Ranch area of the Eastern Glida Valley Community Plan area. You can go ahead and state your name to give us your presentation.
Here we go. Perfect. Hi, my name is Sean Lynch. I just want to also clarify that we are actually for final. We did we did receive preliminary back in January 2024, and so there should have been a memo from our planner that we are for final. We do have preliminary.
Okay.
So just to give you a recap of where we're at, last we were here was back in 2024. And so what's transpired over that time is that we went back to Hope Ranch for final design review. There was a new neighbor who bought the property to the north, so it required additional story polling, working with that neighbor, revising some of the program on the north side. So we'll go over that information. But ultimately, we received final approval from Hope Ranch. So after honestly probably added about 6 to 9 months onto the project, just re-story polling, going through that information. So perfect. We can just hop right in here. And why don't I just start by going over the last SBAR minutes, and then we can do a quick scan through the project. And then if you guys have any questions. First one is project is well cited. Architectural styles are appropriate to the neighborhood. Landscaping material and designs are of high quality. Windows and doors are nicely recessed. B, reduce amount of paving and motor court to increase landscape buffer between motor court and structures. C, ensure sufficient depth for perimeter landscape screening. Consider alternatives to ficus hedge around perimeter. D, ensure consistency in detailing between hand drawing elevations and CAD. E, restudy entry tower as design is overly formal, out of context with the less formal composition of overall structures. And F, restudy elevation 2 and consider incorporating stone in one of the middle massing to tie in with elevation. So why don't we just hop right into the drawings? And why don't you just we'll go to the site context. So yeah, one of those, maybe sheet 2, just to give a just to kind of up that one right there. Perfect. Thank you. Just to kind of retouch, it's kind of up on a hill off Via Horto. Since these large pine trees have been removed, they were noted as failing. One in the rear actually fell, and this front one, we had an arborist report, and that has been since removed. So just to give some context of the site here. Next sheet, please. Just to situate the project, here we are. You can see the outline on the right-hand side. Next sheet. Context, inspiration. Next sheet. We can just scroll through those exactly. Part of what we had to do is just to do a slope analysis and the location of the accessory dwelling unit. So that's what this is providing, some of the bedroom wings, just to show that we do comply with the land use. Next sheet, please. Again, existing, we can keep going through these. Perfect. And here's proposed. Again, as you come up, the new gate off the kind of the bottom left there, coming up to the driveway, nice mortar court, hammerhead for the fire department on the right, and then really just our program here. So everything complies with fire department. We've had extensive conversations with them. Robert was able to spearhead some of that. Next sheet, please. No real changes to any of the program, except the top right corner is where we modified some of the covered porch. That's what we worked through with the neighbor. So next sheet, please. Just a lower kind of non-habitable lower space. Next sheet, please. Again, just roof plan. We can keep scrolling through. Entry. So here's one of the comments. We really simplified the massing of the entry element. So just nice stone cladding, real simple detailing, simple kind of Spanish style light fixtures. So really just tried to pull back the decorative elements that we had on there and really just simplify it. Next sheet. And again, if you guys have any questions as we go through, we can address any of them. So if you look at the top right elevation 03, this is where a lot of our, if you're able to zoom in to the top right corner there. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. You can see the dash area. So we actually reduced the pitch of that element, excuse me, and dropped it down. We also added a shed roof that will come off the side. You can see in some of the elevations, and that's really just to bring that mass down from the neighbor. The neighbor's property is very close to the setback on their side. So we worked with them to really pull that mass down, create a little bit more privacy. and just add a little bit more kind of texture to this. So we added some stone cladding on that elevation that wasn't there before. So really just tried to tie in everything per the comments. So next sheet, please. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And we have some enlarged ones that we can show later. So here's just some sections cutting through. Go next sheet, please. We can just kind of keep scrolling through some of these, and here we go. So this is really what we worked on with the neighbor to pull down a lot of that kind of mass. So we drop that kind of shed roof, which will be a standing seam, which will match what we have with the front accessory dwelling unit portion of their roof comes down, their covered porch. And then we really, part of what they wanted was they have a view that kind of overlooks that patio. So we actually pulled down some of the retaining walls to kind of pull that mass down to be able to allow them a little bit more view exposure, as well as trying to, walk that fine line of privacy as well. So this is sort of where we landed with the neighbor and Hope Ranch, and everyone was good with this iteration. So next sheet, please. Again, just some detailing, keep going through. If you want to just kind of scan through slightly. There's some perspectives, elevation sections, keep going. Yeah, perfect. Accessory dwelling unit. So there were some modifications to this. I know this isn't part of your purview, but there's just to show the context of some of the elements relating. Keep going, please. It's all accessory dwelling unit. Yeah, exactly. And then here's the lower cabana. That hasn't changed. The trash enclosure, which is right next to the accessory dwelling unit. And then if you want to just kind of scroll through really quickly, we can, and happy to touch on any of the details. And yeah, you can kind of just go pick down, I guess, a few, and then we'll go. And then here's the entry gates, or nice simple wrought iron stone columns. And then just there'll be some planters on the left and right, which will have some olive trees. And I pulled those off that perspective just to show the more of the design. So the trees aren't shown in that, but you can see it in the plan view. Keep going down, please. Again, just some wall details, wall types. I would just keep scrolling, and then we can go down to the landscape, and we can speak with Robert here. Again, just some more perspectives. Perfect. And then the material palette. And we can go, and this is just our grading and civil plans. Yeah, you can kind of breeze through these. And the last two sheets, or the last 4 or 5 sheets, should be landscape.
Yeah, I think it's page 55.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, one up is the very first landscape. Yep, there we go. So I'll let Robert speak. And this diagram is just to show, we had some conversation with the fire department, and part of the direction of the board was to provide landscaping to soften. That has since changed. You can't have landscaping within 5 feet of the structure. There's additional requirements. So we initially provided the landscaping per the direction of the board, but after talking to the fire department, we've actually had to pull some of that landscaping back just because of the high fire requirements. So, and Robert did spearhead that, so I'll let Robert speak.
Yeah, so we met with the fire department and identified all the, the zones. The 0 zone is a new one. That's the red area. That's 5 feet from all structures. Can't have any planting. So, yeah, the various zones are broken down on this diagram. Then if maybe you go down, this is just the irrigation sheet. Go down another 2 sheets, please. And because of that 0 zone, there's not a way to add planting into the motor court. So that's should address one of the comments. And then the other comment was about the ficus hedging around the perimeter of the property. That hedging is already in, and it's establishing screening that was desirable for the neighbor. So it's not proposed to change at this time. All the planting is consistent with what was in the previous proposals. So.
And the client did get a permit through Hope Ranch to install that hedge and a fence with the neighbor. So all of that has been installed.
I can answer any questions. I don't think I need to go into detail on planting.
Yeah, I guess just we're happy to respond to any questions you guys have.
from the board?
I have a question with the 5-foot setback. Are you able to screen the stepping wall on the side of the deck near the neighbor?
Technically, no, you can't have anything within 5 feet. So we are designating some areas that could potentially be planted after the fact, but at this time, there's no planting at all allowed from the fire department.
Sean has a sheet in here that shows a perspective across.
Yeah, could we see that?
We cut through it, so.
Yeah, for the stairs on the north with the neighbor. Yeah, if you
Where
go
it shows
up,
the existing hedging from the perspective of the neighbor.
yeah, oh yeah, go up.
Page 30 or
Yeah, sorry, probably right, somewhere right in there, yeah. Up one probably. Oh, sorry, or is it? No, yeah, excuse me, sorry.
31.
Yeah, yeah,
There you go. That's the view from the neighbor.
yeah, exactly.
The ones where you could see the fence and the.
Right.
Yeah, so that top one is essentially from their patio, and so it's really, they wanted to see sort of over our deck, and then, you know, we have some designated areas that could be planted in the future, but at this time, it's more of just to break up that mass of that area.
But the two views in the middle are the one from the actual perspective of the home.
Yeah,
correct?
exactly.
The
yeah.
one above is not one that you actually see.
Yeah, it's more, exactly. That's more, just more perspective of it, but those two middle ones are exactly what you pretty much see.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question for staff, maybe. Am I able, can I recuse myself since I wasn't here for a preliminary?
No, I think we won't have quorum if, because I have the same, and yeah. 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 Yeah, it's not a requirement that we recuse if we haven't seen it. Okay. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online?
We do have 2 participants in our chat. And let's see, we have Alyssa Poirier. You have 3 minutes for your comments.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Hi, Sean. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be able to see this through and what's being presented. We did go extensively into details back and forth with Hope Ranch and worked out this, what they were talking about here on the corner. And it's true, we're very close to the fence line. The 2 properties had been one at one point, and so they had built the 2 structures very close together. And then now the lots are separate, so that's why the homes are so close together, and they're, our view goes right across the stairways. And we did come, to an agreement that as far as we could, it's better to look at that number 32. Yeah, you can see the 2 homes like super close together. Right there, we are planning a remodel as well, so we really are trying to strategize what we do. And that's why I want to see what the end result is here so that we can make our plans to kind of readjust our home and our addition that we're planning, so that we can.
Sorry to interrupt, but just for clarity, you're like due north of this property, correct?
Correct. So
Okay.
we're right, yeah, north, exactly. So you can see the homes are pretty close right there.
Yeah.
So I know I've just got a few minutes, so I just wanted to make sure that nothing had really changed. And basically our issue was to, instead of having the bright white stucco, because our pool area and our whole backyard and our privacy area looks directly up. They're a little bit higher elevation. So that porch and the pool platform there and their outdoor kitchen looks directly down on our property. So we're trying to work together and come up with a way to, for them to have privacy and us to have privacy, because if they're outside enjoying the view, they're looking straight down on our property, which is not, not desirable for anybody. So we're trying to work together with the hedge and, the material of the outside. I can see in some drawings it's stucco, some drawings it's stone. So I don't know what the end result of that material on those stairs going up, because bright white structure is going to be, a little bit obtrusive to our property. So I just wanted to, I have a question for Sean if that had changed, because I see like a little bit of, maybe some plans are older than others and some have been revised. So I wanted to know what the final material was on those stairways going up, because I see the outside is stone, but then that interior wall on the right side going up the stairway might be stucco, which might be pretty bright. So I don't know if you changed that to stone. And then we were working with the fire department because, it was kind of a huge bummer for everybody's landscape plan that they had to remove some vegetation that was, to cover that outdoor fireplace in the pizza kitchen area. And we've planted both sides of the fence. So they have ficus on their side, we have ficus on ours. We thought that was the best screening. So we worked together, with the landscaper and all kind of agreed on that with Hope Ranch. But we never came to, there you can see the stairway going up, looks like stucco, and then the outside is stone. So I had a question on that. And then I want to come up with some sort of agreement about the hedging, because it's such a fine line and we've had so much contention between the neighbors that we're not really on a speaking basis. So, or a friendly basis at this point. So I wanted to find out like what we could do with the hedging to get it high enough for privacy, but yet not block our view. So that's, going to be a future contention. I just don't know if there's something that we can work on in advance to alleviate some of those, issues that could be a problem in the future. And I
Okay.
just also wanted to say that I appreciate them cutting down the slope of the over the, outdoor area, because that just is really kind of cut into our view, because towards the view of, is the ocean and the island.
Okay,
So the
I'm
house
so sorry.
fits
We
into that,
did
so,
give you an
okay.
extra minute, but now
Okay.
it's been 4. But if it's okay,
Okay,
I think
yeah.
we'll give a minute back to the applicant to respond, and then I'll give you 30 seconds after that, since you had a few questions for them.
Perfect. Just to respond, as you can see in the top right, all the drawings are consistent. So it is stone, as you can see, stone on the exterior side of the stairs, the north side, as well as that kind of step. So stone and stone, exactly as we discussed and approved through Hope Ranch. In regards to the hedge, that would be more of a Hope Ranch conversation, which I believe we've already addressed that. There is a certain height requirement that we're keeping to.
I thought at Hope Ranch, I thought at the meeting with Hope Ranch that they had created a regulation on
Yeah,
how tall the hedge could get based
Yeah.
on the communication between
Okay,
the two.
so we'll let that carry. That is normally dealt with in Hope Ranch first.
So where did you document that in your documents?
just through,
The Hope Ranch restriction that your landscape architect just referenced?
we just had that conversation with Hope Ranch, so I think they may have noted it within their own files, but
You have that?
no.
Might be a good note to add.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that was the 2 questions. Okay, so I'm to Ms. Poya, Elsa, I'll just give you 30 seconds to respond whether that answered the questions you had and whether you're in support or not of the project as designed now that you have the clarity.
Yes, I'm in support of the design and I'm excited for them to move on and get built. I don't want, any delays, because I can understand how frustrating that'd be, but also I hope they respect, our property as well and what our feelings are about, protecting our views that we paid for. But that right side of the stairway going up quickly, is that stone or is that stucco? Because it looks like in between the white stucco and then the outside, it doesn't have that texture on it. So I was just curious if that's actually planned to be stucco.
It's all stone. It's
It's stone.
the only the material palette is the stucco and then the stone. So there's no beyond the white stucco. So that is stone.
Okay, so the right side of the stairway is the stone.
Yeah, if you zoom
That's
in, you
the
can probably
outside.
see the texture a little bit better, but and then the elevations as well will show that too. But yeah, you can see, you can
Just
kind
looks
of
like
see
a
it there.
third. Oh, I can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's the
exactly.
same as the outside of the stairway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
All right, thank you. Thank
Thank
you for your
you.
comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comments?
We do have one phone caller. If you would like to raise your hand, press *6 and press *9 to unmute. Okay, moving on.
We'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. We'll start with Val.
Well, I appreciate that you've been through a very long process here, trying to work together with the neighbor, and that's a difficult situation because the buildings are so close. I guess I do question why on the stairwell that you don't integrate the downstairs pool cabana or whatever is underneath there more in, rather than having the stone stepping down looking like it's added on to the side of a white plaster building. Why not make that whole base be stone, including the piece that we're seeing there with the steps down and that big gray band? Is that water from a,
It's an overflow
Infinity.
trough. Exactly. Yeah.
but it's very substantial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be water going, what, 8 feet?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that?
It'll overflow down that wall.
Yeah, it just seems like you could nestle it in more by making that whole base just be stone and not having the stepping and the additional, I don't know, was that meant to be planters and then now you can't use it as planters?
Exactly, on that one, exactly. And that's to reduce the requirement for a railing there. So it's 36 over, 30, less than 36 down. And that was at the direction of the neighbor because we did have wrought iron railings there and they felt that it would block their view of the
Right.
ocean over our property. So as a part of working with that neighbor, we stepped that planter to be able to eliminate that railing,
Right.
create a little bit more opening.
I guess I just, where was it sheet 32 where you see that side?
Yeah, if you go to 17, yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, go up a little bit. Yeah, that the bottom one, it just feels, it feels very built out. And that if you could simplify the materials of having more stone to anchor it into the lower level, I think it would improve the building. So I think that's my main comment. Otherwise, everything's evolved to a place that's acceptable.
Yeah, and just looking at the previous comments and in the current drawings, and I think that you've addressed the comments. And it seems like the hedge that is along the perimeter hopefully should provide the privacy for both properties. So in support of the project.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. It's just too bad that I can't add any landscaping to the motor court. Maybe some raised planters with some minimal things. I wonder if some trick can be done that it doesn't count like. Anyway, it would be nice to lighten it up, but it's not really seen by the public, so it's kind of a personal thing.
Just, we do have designated planter areas that will be stone, gravel, which could be something else down the road. So, but for what we're doing at this, yeah, there can't be anything there.
Very good.
Just going through the comments here, just a quick question to the applicant before I make my comments. The project was story pulled during the process with the HOA, correct?
Initially, the overall mass wasn't, but during the review with the neighbor, we story pulled the northern portion, so the ridge line, all that area to the neighbor that would be impacted.
When you say the neighbor, you mean the person that?
Yes, the neighbor to the north.
Okay.
You just spoke, yes.
So as for item A, I don't think anything's changed. Item B, reducing the amount of paving seems to be where it's at. I can support the current proposal as is. The perimeter landscaping seems adequate. I don't know. I'll defer to the landscape architects on the ficus. Reviewing the details, they look to be well designed and executed, as well as the fenestration and how those all tie together. especially I appreciate the proportioning of the different openings and windows and the kind of mass bulk and scale of the house. It really has a nice rhythm and a nice quality to it. The entry tower looks like it's been restudied, but I think the simplicity, I think the consistency of how it translates from one elevation to from the north to the south is really well done. So I can support item E to move forward. And I was looking at elevation 2, Corporation of Stone in the middle of the massings, tying with other elevations. I didn't really look to see what was there previously, but just looking at all of the elevations, they all seem to be handled quite well. So no issue there. So I can fully support making a motion to final approval with condition of perhaps putting some notation in your final drawings with regard to the findings and the direction you're given by your HOA. So that's well documented for the construction site.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, I think just looking at the comments strictly, since I wasn't here for preliminary approval, I think you guys have addressed most of those comments adequately. I think maybe the one comment I would have, and I think it's just something to consider, would be in regards to the motor court reduction and paving. I think just looking at the hammerhead that's past the 2 garages, it does seem like an awful lot of paving there that, you guys are integrating gravel in your areas. And I know that chip seal is an acceptable form of paving for fire department. And so if that's something that the client's willing to do, I think that's a good way to kind of soften the landscape a little bit. And it looks like, where we have that 5 foot of buffer around the architecture, and then having like a planter strip, it seems a little odd. So potentially if that became like a chip seal, it may feel a little bit more blended, but wouldn't hold up anything. I think it's just something more to consider, but overall, I think it's a really nice project.
Thank you.
I agree with the previous comments. I should have asked this in the questions period, but is the motor court like the minimum size? So I realize that you can't put planting around the borders, but did you study at all putting like a center tree or anything to shade the motor court since you can't have perimeter planting?
The applicant has a bunch of vehicles, he wants to be able to park them in that space. So
And-
I don't think it would.
It's
with
in
the
here.
program.
Yeah.
Ask because you can't do the.
And
There are, if you look at the layout of it,
Go to the
there's
site
paving
plan.
and then there's an area that's curbed that has gravel shown in it, and the applicant, if he wanted to, he could
Page 4.
potentially.
Can you go to
plant in
page 4
that
of the
space.
recap?
Yeah.
So
And
Or sorry, not 4. That would be my bad. 9.
I was also going to comment, it's not necessarily a formal comment on this project, but I believe in Zone 0 you can have pots. And so if you need something to soften the.
Can you actually go to 10? And just to go to page 10, just enlarge, as you could see, there are some areas designated that when we initially addressed this comment and had trees and planters, so we've still kept those areas identified, but it'll be gravel, pebbles, something like that, at least at this stage. Whether the client wants to do something else, that's up to them.
Okay.
But we did, just to recap that, we did address reducing that before it was essentially end-to-end building to building. So we did create some buffers for potential
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no additional comments.
Just going to say, just because of the commenter in regards to the ficus hedge, I do think that is a nice plant material for the hedge. You guys already have it, but I would just encourage you guys to maintain that height, a height that is works for both of you, obviously, for screening.
that was recorded in the approval with Hope Ranch. So.
Yeah, and we can put on the plan set for when it comes forward again. Yeah. When we had the planner review, when we go to the building department, we'll make sure all that information is in there, or if you guys need to see it as well, we can upload that to the file.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yeah, this is for final approval,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'll make a motion for final approval as submitted with the addition of, I'd like to condition the applicant to add documentation to their final set of plans reflecting the HOA requirements that they're fulfilling on, or any conditions that have been placed on them with the HOA that they've agreed to. Anything anybody wanted to
I'm
modify?
not sure if there was any addition. Studying.
I mean, I still would encourage you to look at simplifying the base of the building with just stone instead of the two materials, but
Okay.
Thank you.
just a compliment.
Yeah.
M-
A second?
Madam Chair, if I could just jump in really quick. So just a comment on the motion that if the conditions that were added by the HOA are added to the plan, that is not typically something that P&D would be able to enforce. We're not super. We would want to review any agreements made by an HOA prior to including them in any action. So I think we might want to look at those beforehand.
Okay, well then, in that case, I'll strike that from the motion and just make the motion to approve the project as submitted for final approval.
Okay with the second. Okay with the second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you all.
Alex. Okay, and we'll move on to item 2. Lily, 2560 Lily retaining wall repair and replacement. Do we have the applicant online? Or in the audience?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'll read the description. Thank you. Request of Morgan Crepes Kaya, agent for the owner at 2560 Lily LLC, here for conceptual review of a new retaining wall of approximately 51 lineal feet along Lily Avenue on private property and right of way, connecting to the existing retaining wall on neighboring property. The following structures exist on the parcel: retaining wall, a 2-story commercial, and a 2-story commercial property. The proposed project requires no cut or fill, and it's on a 0.55 acre parcel located at 2560 Lily Avenue. You can go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation.
Great. Okay. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Morgan Crepes Kaya. I'm with Flowers and Associates. I am the agent for the owner. I am here online with our civil engineer, also with Flowers and Associates, Robert Schmidt, and we are joined by the project manager and owner's rep, Matt Hubbard, with the Brody Group over Zoom. We are here today for conceptual review for the entitlement of the replacement of an existing failed retaining wall. Just to give you a brief background on the property, the site was originally developed and permitted back in the mid-'80s. Today, it consists of a 7,000 square foot mixed-use commercial and residential building with an outdoor parking area that wraps around the rear of the property. And the subject retaining wall, which is why we're here today, which is a concrete CMU wall. If you open the photos that say photos prior to EMP, you can see, so back in January 2024, we were first contacted by County Roads about the wall due to a slope failure, which pushed the wall forward. There was risk of the wall collapsing into the right of way and onto that existing SCE power pole. So you can see in these photos that what was going on there with that slope failure. If you now click on, there's some additional photos that were included. The other file, let's see. There you go. And so in about June of 2024, we obtained emergency repair permits that were issued through Planning and Development and Public Works. The wall was subsequently cut down 4 feet to approximately 5.5 feet. There was some soils removal to allow for, to alleviate the pressure and prevent further slope failure. So you can kind of see there some of the remedial work that was done at the time. If you scroll down a little bit, I think you can get there's a better view. Keep going a little bit. There you can kind of see a portion of the wall. There you go. That's a better picture of pretty much how the wall appears today. Later that year in 2024, we obtained a soils report from PML, and then followed up that in mid 2025 with an additional soils report. At that time, it included a slope stability analysis, and that was provided by Earth Systems. During this time and after the second soils analysis, various designs were reviewed by the design team and the owner based on constructability, costs, and the soils engineering recommendations. Ultimately landing on the design that's presented in front of you today, which was deemed to be the best approach. If you open the civil plans that were provided, I think it's that, yeah, that first set. And if you scroll down, I think it's about 3 sheets down, sheet C2, that one right there. Yeah, maybe give it a little bit of, there you go. So this kind of gives you a good overall overview of the site. The design consists of replacing the remainder of the failed wall with a new 10-foot permanent concrete stem wall. It will be painted to match the existing Public Works owned wall that's to the west in the right-of-way, creating one cohesive wall instead of 2 separate walls that are as what you see today. The wall will match the existing layout once constructed. There will be some soil stabilization measures to be incorporated. Those will include soil nails, high capacity erosion control mesh, hydroseeding, and a shotcrete wall design behind the front facing retaining wall. Some minor site improvements around the wall are proposed. No trees are proposed to be removed. And I should mention a small portion of this work, maybe about a quarter to a third will be on the neighboring property, which is 2549 Varley Street. And this includes a portion of the erosion control mesh netting, the soil nails, and the shotcrete wall. Otherwise, the majority portion of this work is within the right-of-way and on the subject property. As you can kind of see from that dark hatched line, that's the that front facing retaining wall that'll be facing the right-of-way and the property.
Okay.
And that pretty much sums it up, and we're available for any questions and appreciate your time.
Great, thank you. Move on to questions from the board.
Just one question. Is that upper part, the it looks like a Caltrans guard. Is that necessary, or Caltrans type guard, right? Like it's not a yeah, the guardrail. Is that required? Is that necessary? Safety?
Oh, the guardrail on top of the wall there.
Yeah.
Robert, I don't believe he might be able to speak.
In.
I don't believe so.
The existing wall next to it has it, so there is a large fall. So I think it's just a protection zone for the landscaping up above.
I had one question. So with the shotcrete behind the wall, what's that dimension? Because so that area won't be able to be planted, correct, behind the wall for the shotcrete section.
It's a smaller portion above the wall. I think let's see, I had included a square footage on that. There's about 240 square feet that's above the wall that's consisting of that shotcrete.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay. Are you proposing any new planting to revegetate the slope after construction?
We were looking into that potential for hydroseeding, maybe using the county approved mix, sort of wanting to keep it as that native landscaping that's currently there, something that would go well with that mesh netting and not obstruct any of the soil nails and any of those soil stabilization measures.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Kira.
On sheet 4, you guys show the existing plaster wall. Is that, you said painted, is it plastered or is it painted? Just the color to match?
You know, Matt, do you know? I think it's a stucco, but it will be painted to match that wall.
Okay, so it'll be a stucco wall.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, that's it.
I just want to clarify that. The existing wall is stucco and you're also proposing a stucco wall?
Let me look it up
The
real quick.
existing wall to the west.
Are you proposing it with the stone cap to match or just the same color stucco?
I'm looking at the structural plans. You can pull those up. The 1124 structural plan should have it on there. I don't see the cap on there, so I believe it's just the paint to match.
Yeah, because it looks like in the detail, it's only concrete. And so it looks like you're not proposing a wall to match what's there. Right? Just the color. They're just, yeah, okay, yeah. So I think that.
Okay, any other questions? And then we'll move on to public comment. Okay, let's open up public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online?
If anybody would like to make a comment on this, please raise your hand in the chat. For our phone caller, we have *6 to unmute and *9 to raise your hand. Okay, seeing no public comment, we have received no letters for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Who wants to go first? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Fanny.
I think as far as the proposed elevation is acceptable to continue that existing wall, but I would propose that it is stucco with the stone cap to create a consistent elevation along that street. And then also look to cut back on where the shawcrete is so that you could maintain planting above.
Val. Sorry, Alex, I can't see you.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. The guardrail, I guess the adjacent one is galvanized, but it would look better black. You know, if they need it, it's, yeah, the no slip railing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking at the plan, it looks like the existing part has more of a slope, and the corner there is less of a slope. So maybe it's not needed
Maybe
at
it's
all.
not necessary.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, which would be a nice thing because it's.
Yeah, that's the most
yes.
unaesthetic part of the existing wall.
And it's not shown in the drawing.
As being there.
Josh.
Well, first of all, to the applicant, I think this is a really great improvement to a public area of a very unsightly condition that's being greatly improved. So I think the board appreciates that, and I think the public will appreciate seeing this improvement because the current condition's quite unsightly, as I said. So I would kind of modify what board member Tripp commented on the stone cap. I think the stone cap should be continued along the Lily Avenue vector of the wall. And I really strongly agree that there should be kind of a match existing effort here to like match the plaster, the cadence, and the finishing along that frontage. I would be favorable to just having a plastered wall as it turns back off of it, Lily, and into the kind of recess of the parking area, just to simplify that and help control the costs. I don't think it's necessary to have that decorative element in the back there if it's not needed, but I'll leave that to the applicant to decide how they want to handle that. But I would be in favor of just really reinforcing the frontage to the road and creating a consistency and an extension of the existing wall there that looks somewhat attractive. I don't know. I'm a little bit. I guess I'm agnostic about the guardrail system on the top of the thing. I assume that's to keep people who live or walk around in the bushes back there from falling off the wall, which seems kind of weird. But if it does provide a safety feature that's necessary, then I don't think we should fool around with it. Seems like a liability. I don't know what goes on that hillside, so I don't want to get involved. But other than that, I think it would be great if the applicant just come back with a more concise application to focus this on aesthetic issues. And we're not engineers here. We're not interested in your engineering conversation. It's aesthetics. So we want to see a pretty wall with nice finishes, matches existing, improves the neighborhood, and we want to see landscaping that conforms to the existing condition and potentially improves it. So please streamline your presentation when you come back and just focus us on those two things. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with most of those comments. I think that matching existing stucco and cap would be appreciated. I would just add, for the planting, I think Kaylee touched on it, but adding just planting to match it could be very simple up there, but some type of large ground cover would help to kind of cover up that, was it shotcrete 8-inch wall if, over time. And so you won't see it over time. So if it's necessary for engineering, I think it's fine, but if we can get it covered with planting over time. And I would just add, it looks like there's a planter strip in front of the wall. I think it could be nice to soften that wall with a climbing or a clinging vine, potentially. Just consider that as well with the stucco. I think that would be a nice way to soften that whole wall and make a nice entry for that business. So those are my comments.
I agree with the comments that the stucco should match, that the cap should match. I don't see what the purpose of having a safety rail up there is, but maybe if it's required for the construction or whatnot. Jonathan, could you go to the photos, please, on the third page of the photos? It looks like there's an adjacent planter that's like right there at the corner of that driveway. I would recommend you plant that. Maybe go to the photos, the PDF there. Yeah, yeah, right there on the, if you could plant that little area, that would be nice. And then I agree that there should be planting on the slope above, and I think the recommendation of bringing in a clinging vine is a great one to soften it all. So.
Again, I should have asked this in the questions portion, but was it studied to be able to use like a geotextile instead of the slurry for the laid back portion of the reinforcement? Probably a question for Robert.
It was, this was the recommendations given by the geotech of having that much shotcrete before it was a mesh up above.
Okay.
We can go back and revisit it with the geotech to see if they can minimize that, but I have a feeling there's a reason why they added it there.
Okay, I think my comment would just be to see if there's any option for bringing planting closer to the back of the wall. It's gonna, it actually, I think will mitigate some of the safety concern too, because that much hardscape, it pulls people to the back of the wall as a, surface that they can walk on. And then, yeah, I would just second the comment about large scale ground covers over hydroseed, just because to cover that 6 feet, if the ground just a few ground covers placed at the back of the slurry is going to cover that a lot better than hydroseed would never cover it. So one other question is, where is the drainage daylighting? Does it come through the curb to the street?
You see that drain right there in the corner?
That's is that that's the proposed condition as well?
Yeah, there'll be a catch basin in the corner. There's actually a concrete swale behind the new wall, and that that actually picks up more of the drainage on site too. This is the low point for kind of the existing wall itself as well.
So all the drainage daylights into that planter bed there? It
does. There's actually a catch basin underneath it that takes down the curb.
And comes out the curb. Okay, that was what I was wondering. So it doesn't flood that planter necessarily?
No, it does not. No.
Okay, so then you could propose some planting in there. Okay, I think that was my comments. All right, you're here for conceptual. Does the board feel like it can come back prelim and final if it's a more complete set? On consent, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 3 is continued. Item 4, the rare addition garage conversion. Is the applicant here? Okay, you can come forward. The request of Corbin Pemple Agent for the owner, Debbie Rare, here for conceptual review, conversion of a 2-car garage into a 400 square foot habitable space that will include a new bathroom, bedroom, and closet, conversion of existing storage space into a 204 square foot office, construction of a new outdoor barbecue service range and detached 160 square foot pergola in the rear yard. The following structures exist: a 1,350 square foot residence, 400 square foot garage, 226 foot storage. No gradings proposed. The property is 0.26 acres, located at 450 Los Verdes in the Eastern Goleta Valley community plan area. Go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Corbin, and I am, as you mentioned, the representing agent for the owner. This project is pretty simple. I'll quickly jump through the main changes that occurred. On the exterior, we're adding a new door. If you go down to the floor plans. Yes, that's the existing floor plan pulled from the AIA. We've got on the southeast corner, you can see there's a new proposed door leading into the front yard. It is sheltered from street view by a little kind of patio area. On the left side the northwestern corner where the new closet is going to kind of replace some of that empty storage shed. We're getting rid of an exterior door that led into the shed, closing it off, and we're adding a new interior door leading from that bedroom. New walls for the bathroom and the closet, utilities, pretty much everything that's needed to make the space habitable and livable. We're adding a partition wall in that storage shed to create kind of a dual function space. There's the closet and the office. The office is accessible from the patio outside, not from the interior. We've got a new sliding door. If you kind of zoom in, you can see it. It's to the right in the kitchen on that corner. Item number 3 on the window door schedule. So we've got a new sliding door going there in the corner of the kitchen. There's a new pergola structure that is going right there. It will be structurally engineered. It's going to be sitting on piers. And then we have, of course, the kitchen range powered by gas. One of the main exterior changes, of course, is the removal of the garage door. So the garage door has been removed and it will be consistent with the rest of the house. So it's going to look like just an extension of the main wall, the look of the house. We still have plenty of outdoor parking. These plans include sections. If we scroll down, there's some elevations as well showing that kind of exterior change. Yes, so as you can see, it just continues along. The exterior right now, I actually don't think I have photos in the plans, but it is I believe it's a wooden siding. Oh, yes, thank you. There we go. So as you can see, it's a wooden siding. That's just continuing on the front in order to kind of replace the garage door. I think it's a little bit further down. We've got the front. Yeah, so you can see that's the right side of the front, which kind of shows the entrance door and those few windows. And if you scroll one more down, you can see there in the between the cars exactly kind of how that garage door got replaced. Right now, there's a couple of little planter things right there that are just housing some storage.
Okay.
No new re-roofing or anything like that. So as I mentioned, it was primarily just the conversion of uninhabitable space into habitable space.
All right. Do we have any questions from the board?
Just one question. The pergola, is it going to be white or you thinking of
It is
something
white.
else?
And
It's already there. It's already there or is proposed?
It is there. It is proposed as well because we're trying to bring everything up to permitted
Okay.
status. It's just a little Home Depot pergola, so they didn't know they needed one. It has not been bolted into the ground. They've kind of just rough assembled it to get an idea of where they
Okay.
want it because it's, I think, 200 pounds or something. So very lightweight structure. It's white. I do have spec sheets here in these plans if you go a little bit further down. So you can see the exact, I think it's one more page down. Yes. So you can kind of see the exact specifications. It's a manually operated louver roof. So it provides a little bit of waterproofing, but honestly, if you've had one of these, it's on a model like this, it's not much.
Is this an enforcement case?
No, it is not. My clients purchased the home back during COVID, and they voluntarily came forward and they just want to make sure everything has been done properly.
Great. Any other questions? Move on to public comment. Anybody in the audience online?
For our online audience, if anybody would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. For our call-in, *6 to raise your hand and *9 to unmute.
Nobody?
Okay, seeing none, and we have no letters submitted for this item.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Seems pretty straightforward. So does anyone have any comments?
I was just
I was gonna say, pretty minor, updates, and I think it's an improvement, but it would be helpful to just, if you include for the future existing elevations instead of just proposed, because it helps just see exactly what the changes are. And then also just actually illustrating that vertical siding, because just looking at the elevations, it looks like stucco. So yeah, those are my only
Apologies about that. We if
there's just a comment.
Madam Chair, I recommend this come back on consent for final and or preliminary and final. It's a very minor project. I'm sorry that you have to go through all this to get something this simple done. I wish the county had a better process for minor projects like this, but this is what we have. So,
One quick comment is that on your sheet, you should identify that the existing trellis and the existing barbecue are part of it. On A2.1, they're shown, but it's just not even identified that it's an existing as-built feature you're trying to approve of.
Yeah, then it'll be documented for your client.
Oh, I see it in the scope of work. I would just document it on this sheet so that it's clear.
Okay, I see.
Just for your future. Yeah. Okay, so it's here for conceptual. So it's been proposed that you can come back prelim and final on consent. Does anyone? Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. And you need to recuse Robert, right, from the next one? Or present, yeah. Okay. Moving on to item 5, McLernan Pool and Artist Studio, request of Sean Lynch, agent for the owner, Jessica and Michael McLernan. Here for conceptual review of a 20 by 38 new pool and spa, 519 square foot detached studio, trellis and site work. Following structures exist on the parcel: 2,557 square foot residence, 405 square foot garage, cut and fill is to be determined. The property is a 0.81 acre parcel located at 985 Las Palmas Drive in the Eastern Galeta Valley Community Plan area. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm Sean Lynch with the Book Design Studio. As you mentioned, this is about a 519 square foot cabana pool with an integrated spa, a trellis structure, and it's really just a kind of program their rear yard. They purchased property several years ago, so now it's really just time to develop it. As you can see in the top left photo of this aerial, if you can zoom in slightly. So the project is on Las Palmas in Hope Ranch, right across from Laguna Blanca. Kind of in that right-hand corner, that's the start of Laguna Blanca, and then there's our project. The project to the page right, that's actually MF Interiors. That's, on this aerial, yeah. That's actually completed, so this is obviously just an older aerial, but the rear yard looks like that on our property right now. These two structures on each side, and ours as well, they are previously non-conforming, so they do encroach into the setback. It's just, I think when these were developed, there was different setbacks. We're not touching the primary residence, so when we go through the drawings, I can just show you some of the encroachment areas that exist. If you scroll out a little bit to some of the other site context photos, that'd be great. So really just kind of looking at the property here on the right-hand side of these photos, the row, you can see the front elevation on the right bottom. As you go up, again, the front elevation from Las Palmas, then going into that middle photo, that's the rear yard looking towards the structure. And then their patio, lawn area. There is part of the scope too is kind of rebuilding the trash enclosure area, the parking area, which you can kind of see the second to the top the two, I guess, photos on the second row there. So you can see there are railroad ties that are essentially failing. So it's really just kind of cleaning up some of the site elements and really just making it a little bit more functional for the clients. So next page, please. Again, just kind of our inspiration imagery. We really wanted to just kind of make it simple, timeless, not too complicated or fussy, more of kind of an indoor outdoor experience. And then really just playing off the plasters of the existing house, and then really just the Santa Barbara palette. So sandstone, stucco, a metal roof. So next photo, please, or page. Here's the existing survey. As you can see, the properties both north and south, you can see how they encroach. There's 25-foot setbacks in Hope Ranch. So you can see there's encroachments on each side as well as our property as well. So next sheet, please. And so I just overlaid ours on top just to make sure you understand the context of our proposed scope. So as you can see, the clients wanted to maintain a lawn area in between the new kind of pool deck, cabana area, and the structure. So we really try to sort of level that area out, and then we graded up. So we have a couple planters that steps up to the pool deck. And then there's another retaining wall planter that would provide privacy. This property is flanked by two streets. So we have two street front yard setbacks. So the rear office, I believe via Rosita, and that's a 75-foot, which is the north, and then Las Palmas is 125. So one of the things which I actually should have put in the scope, is we want to ask for a variance. We're scheduled for Hope Ranch. They're very backlogged, so we're not on until probably mid-February. And so have a heat pump on the back side of the cabana, which will be in the front setback of the rear property, the secondary front yard. So when we go to the drawings, you'll see. The other thing that I want to note here is on the left-hand side, the proposed, you can see we added 2 additional kind of olive trees just east of, or, page E, I guess that's north on here, of the cabana. And that's just to block any potential views to that neighbor. There's no concern, but we just wanted to provide additional privacy if there's for the neighbor and for our clients as well. Next sheet, please. Again, just more enlarged, so we can keep going through. Next sheet. And then here's really the enlarge of the deck. So as you can see, we have a planter. Again, we wanted to remove the need for railings, so we were able to step these planters at the page south to be able to eliminate the need for any railings. And then as you go up, it's a sandstone kind of paver deck. And it needs to be a loose gravel per our soils report. So it's just really just kind of a loose deck. It's not a hard concrete deck. And then the cabana is on the right-hand side. So really just a kind of a powder room, kind of a pool change area, kind of a lounge area, and then a really small kind of wet bar area. And then just, 2 bifold doors facing the pool, and then a pocket door facing the covered patio with a fireplace barbecue area. And then on page left, you can see there is a trellis structure, and then below that is the pool mechanical area. We do have an existing oak tree, which is designated up on the top left corner, and you can see there's minor encroachment into the drip line just where those stairs are. So we really kind of moved our program around that oak tree to make sure there was no major impact. Next sheet, please. Again, just kind of zooming in a little bit more detail, we wanted to make sure there's adequate clearance around the pool, and we actually broke the mass of that roof up to be able, just so it wasn't so overpowering. So we stepped it down and provided a shed roof sort of over that sitting area to break down that mass. So next sheet, please. RCP, keep going. And here you go. So it's really that planter walls. What we're going to be doing is we're going to clad it in sandstone, and then the rest will be stucco. The chimney will be the Santa Barbara sandstone as well, with the rest being stucco around the perimeter of the structure and the standing seam metal roof. So next sheet, please. Again, just some site sections to give context. Height limits, we meet all requirements. It's under 16 feet. We really try to tuck it in, so the mass is really more tucked into the hillside. As you can see in the back and the bottom section, the 2 sections there, you can see we've really tucked it into the hillside to make sure there's, it's not very impactful. Next sheet, please. And then just going into, again, details, other information, you can kind of scroll through these. For any of these details, I'm happy. Oh, we can stop here. Go down to the next one, sorry. So this is other scope is sort of that trash area. So again, we're just trying to simplify it. It'll be CMU walls that'll be stuccoed with nice kind of wood decorative, or not decorative, but wood gates, and then kind of a wire mesh railing that will be planting out sort of just to have some vines to provide a little bit more kind of privacy from the parking area. Next sheet, please. And again, just standard details, windows are recessed to create some nice shadow lines. Keep going, please. Again, just additional details. There's the planter. So we're going to have the sandstone, a nice stone cap on it. And then you can see the pool deck. That's detail 12. Stairs, exterior walls. Keep going, please. And then there's just some more perspectives to give you an idea of just, the overall quality of the project. Next sheet, please. Again, interior, so if there's any questions, we can touch on those. Next sheet. And then here's sort of our material. So it's kind of, Hope Ranch is very stringent about the LRV. So the stucco color we have here is fossil. So it has the LRV that meets the requirement. I think 82 is max for, or 80 is for Hope Ranch. And then again, just sandstone, the pavers. So again, anything you guys want to touch on there. And then the last will be the landscape. So I'll let Robert touch on those. So if you go to the next sheet, please.
Okay, so the property existing has a ficus hedge that kind of runs around two sides of it. So I'm proposing to fill in the ficus hedge on the north side, which is kind of the one that has potential, interest in screening between the neighbor. There's also a wood fence there. And then on the top of the sheet there, we're proposing to add in screening because there's kind of visibility up towards the neighbor. So I wanted to address kind of the perimeter screening up towards the top left corner there. There's large existing oak trees that really screen in the property. So we're trying to, address screening that way. Then also Sean was touching on the north side there where we're proposing 2 olive trees, which are adjacent to that neighbor. So you got the existing residence with an existing patio there on the bottom of the sheet. Then there's an existing lawn area, which is going to get regraded, flattened essentially. Right now it's sloped. Then you're going to step up into the pool area. We've got planters that are kind of positioned around the sides of all of this, which are going to include like a selection of Mediterranean plants that we actually re-landscaped the front yard already. And these are plants that are used in other areas of the property and that the clients like. Then on the uphill side of the pool, we got 3 olive trees, also trying to screen the whole site slopes upwards. There's kind of a view of the neighbors above. So we've got a row of olive trees there. And then also as it goes into the backyard, we're trying to kind of establish more of like a meadow native type of landscape that's got this gravel path that wraps around it. And then on the edges of that are going to be some fruit trees. To the left, we've got a few avocado trees, which are supposed to kind of add to the screening. And then on the right, there's a selection of kind of existing citrus trees that we're going to fill in with around the path. Coming around the back of the cabana there's going to be a gravel path with, some landscape tie steps and kind of loose planting. So that's kind of the overall scheme that we got.
Okay. All right, move on to any questions from the board?
What's your grading strategy and quantities?
We're in progress. So we don't have a civil on board at this time, but we will come back with that information. Absolutely.
Well, what's the strategy?
In what sense?
Balanced on site?
Ideally, we'd try to balance since we will be kind of leveling out areas and then these raised patios will the pool deck will backfill that. Obviously, there'll be some export because of the pool, but the strategy would be to obviously balance as much as possible, but we really want to reduce the amount of export. So that's absolutely we'll come back with that information.
Okay, I don't want to be too fussy here, but this is just for Joe. Like, I think planning staff on a project like this should require grading calculations to be presented at conceptual review. It's a pretty important aspect of the project. All of this is going into a slope that's ascending in the back, right? So there's potential for grading, and usually that's a big part of the conversation in terms of site management. So I would just recommend that applicants come with at least a proposal and a preliminary grading calculation, which can, based on the way I see you're doing your documents, I don't think you're going to have any trouble doing that. Pretty good documentation.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Anyone in the audience or online?
We have received no letters for this item, but we do have 2 people in our attendees column. If anybody would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat, or for our call-in, *6 to raise your hand and *9 to unmute. Okay, seeing none.
Okay, we'll close public comment, move on to comments from the board. Start with Josh. You don't have to
All
start
warmed
yet.
up. Well, first of all, I think this is an excellent project. It's very well designed. This is the second project we've seen from this applicant today. And once again, the documentation is at a very high level, and it's very easy to ascertain what's going on here. So we really appreciate the diligence and the commitment to the documentation. It's kind of, it goes hand in hand with good design. So mass, bulk, and scale of the proposal looks to be fine. Architectural style is, I think, consistent with the neighborhood. Yeah, so I think the project looks really good. I just think come back with a grading calculation. And then again, on a planning note, I heard you say that you're going for a variance. Is there any findings that this board needs to have or make today to?
I don't think at this time, it'll really be, I mentioned it already to Hope Ranch. I don't think there's any issues with it. Just as you can see, kind of on the back right corner of the cabana, you can kind of see it's just a heat pump, and it's really just nowhere else sightly to put it. And again, it's going to be completely screened. You won't see it from the street up above. So
is that a variance from the county ordinance or from the HOA, or
probably both? We probably will need to get a variance through the county, but at this stage, I think conceptual, I mean, I guess maybe we can get your opinion, I guess, on it if you are in support. And then when it comes forward, I guess maybe there's more of a formal action for you guys to take.
All right, well, I'm not clear about it, so I'm not going to make any comment on it. Maybe somebody else can, but I think the project looks complete and probably ready to come back on a preliminary final.
I agree. I think it's well done, well thought out, and well executed, nicely presented too.
I agree with the previous comment.
Yeah, it's a great way of utilizing that sloping backyard and making it really a more enhanced outdoor experience. It's a very nice solution.
Thank you.
I agree with those comments. I guess a little suggestion is just there's a lot of program going on by the pool, and it looks like you have a lawn between. Just maybe the stepping stones would continue, but I'm not going to determine how they walk to their pool. And then the other question is just how if we're allowed to have a trash enclosure in the side yard setback, that might be a question for staff, but I'm sure you've already handled that.
We're working through that. And then when we go to Hope Ranch, essentially you can encroach into the side with Hope Ranch. It's just, once we get into our formal planner letter and all that, we'll address that. Absolutely. That is a concern that I have too.
It looks like you have a nice fence that's looking straight onto it. So whatever you're doing, it seems like that needs to be pretty, obviously. Otherwise, nice project.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with the previous positive comments. And I think our just positive comments for the project will help you with the variance, and then we can, the planner can decide if we need to make a finding at prelim level.
Why don't I just show you, if you can go to the large point, just to give you a little bit more context of what it is, just, and then no comment needed at this point.
It's usually just a planner approval when it's a quick.
Okay.
But
Could you go to the, is sheet, let's see, what sheet is this? It's page A203, so it should be around page 8. There we go. Go up a little bit, and there you can see. So we're right on that rear 75-foot setback off the Via Rosita. And you can see it's really just, we'll have a concrete swale behind there, and then we're gonna have that just right by there too. So that's the only encroachment.
Well, we'll just get clarity from the planner when you
Yeah,
guys come back,
perfect.
whether we need to make a finding. Okay, so it sounds like the board would like you to come back prelim and final. Do we feel like full board or just consent? You're gonna go through it at Hope Ranch, so you can come back on consent.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a battle at Hope Ranch.
It's all done.
Oh, we are, okay, okay. All right, thank you, guys.
Perfect, thank you.
It sounds like item 6 is back on the agenda. It was, and that's okay, because that wasn't a formal motion. Can we take a 2-minute recess? A 5-minute recess?
It's like a 5-minute recess.
All right, we will reconvene with item 6. The Sharuzi Single Family Dwelling request of Katerina Svensson, agent for the owner, Sean Sharuzi, here for further conceptual review of a 4,300 square foot residence. The following structures exist: a single family dwelling and attached garage of 2,400 square feet. The proposed project will require approximately 185 cubic yards of cut and same fill. It's on a 0.38 acre parcel located at 690 Lorraine Avenue in the Eastern Galeta Valley Community Plan area. And is the applicant online?
Yes, I'm here. I'm under Sean Sharuzi, but this is Kate Svensson, agent for the owner. I was hoping you guys would read the minutes from the previous.
I am happy to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the architectural style is appropriate. Project is nicely done. Entry form appears large in renderings. Consider restudy. Return with 2-piece mission tile roofing material rather than S-tile. Restudy spaces between the top of arches and eave as presented. The spaces are too tight. Are these the previous comments?
This is the old comments, yeah.
Yeah, I've read these before. Joe or Jonathan?
I can go by memory. I don't have them in front of me, but I can go by memory from the previous
No,
meeting.
are you here for, is your understanding that you're here for further conceptual?
No, we're supposed to be for preliminary.
Yeah.
And maybe final, but definitely for preliminary.
That's gonna be a problem because you're not agendized for it.
411, Joe, what do we do?
Let me see if the public one agendized you differently, because we have the member agenda. No. We can have them come back on consent if we can still review it, yeah. Sorry, Kate, one
That's
moment.
okay, yeah.
No, yeah, the public noticing is for further conceptual too. Is the planner, sorry, Kiana Lamb online? If Joe can't answer, Kate, we might go on to item 7 and come back to 6 once we can get a hold of Kiana.
Yep,
So
that's
that we
fine.
can make sure we stay efficient for you.
Remember this project too.
Yeah, we need the at least the, yeah. I know, we just saw it two meetings ago. Yeah. Joe, are
Madam Chair,
you?
was there a specific question you had for me?
Yeah, so this item seems to have been agendized wrong and the wrong minutes are on it. And I was wondering if the planner is available or if there's a way to, I realized it was publicly noticed for further conceptual, and I think the applicant had every intention of presenting for prelim and final, which I think was correct from our previous, because we just saw this and gave it positive comments.
Right. Let me see. So the planner, Kiana, is not on the hearing right now, but I'm seeing if she's online. It looks like she is out of the office today.
Okay.
However, if it is agendized for further conceptual, we won't be able to take action on preliminary action today. But as you suggested, you could still review the project as it's submitted for further conceptual, and then just have them return on consent or for whatever action you'd like.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any way to dig up the minutes that we reviewed? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So we'll carry on that way. Kate, I'll read these updated minutes, and we'll, if everything's in line, then we'll try to agendize you for prelim final on consent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Project is improvement and compatible with neighborhood. Mass bulk and scale is appropriate. Arches still appear high on east elevation wall. Return with documentation for dark sky Exterior lighting, if two-piece mission tile is too expensive, consider flat terracotta tile. Board is not supportive of S-tile. Restudy landscaping in front yard along Cathedral Oaks Road, incorporate additional trees and or study the other lower water landscape options. Study hardscape plans and ways to reduce and or break it up, incorporate additional planters around structure. Study ways to delineate driveway from Lorraine Avenue. So you can
Okay.
go ahead and
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on the architectural comments. Unfortunately, our landscape architect could not make it today, but we'll do our best to present his notes at the end of the presentation and address some of the landscape related comments. So the main changes from last hearing, could we go to exterior elevations, perhaps to on the rear elevation where the arched doors were presented? Yeah, right here. Oh. Right here. So after last hearing, we just decided to forgo the arch. Can you scroll down a little bit more to the last elevation, to the rear elevation? Okay. We've decided to forgo the arched French doors and to create more space between the roof eave and the top of the doors. We just eliminated those, and it was a suggestion one of the board members to just make those doors flat header. So we did that. We actually looked at the option of raising the roof to create that space and decided to keep the low profile of the building. So the roof remained at the same height as been presented from the beginning, and we changed those doors to be just flat header. And if you scroll down, there'll be specs for the light fixture. I think it's further down. Oh, maybe it's, sorry, could you keep scrolling? There should be a spec for light fixture. Actually, I think it's in the T-sheets on top of the set where all the materials are. And we did eliminate the S-tile roof and went with the suggestion of the board member to have a flat terracotta colored roof tile. Yeah, so the light fixtures, yeah, on the bottom left, Kiana approved it as on her planner review with the change in the bulb spec. So on the right-hand side, you'll see the bulb spec that goes with that light fixture that was approved by the planner. And we removed the S-tile for the recommendation on our roof plan and went with the flat terracotta colored roof tile. So everything else other than the landscape remained the same since the last hearing, and we added exterior details as well. If you could scroll to the landscape plan, and Brian, if he's here, can touch on the landscape changes.
Yes. Hi, if you guys can hear me okay. The landscape plan is around the middle of the set, and I could just read a note that the landscape, there you go, yeah. Read a note that the landscape planner left. Basically, the landscape plan now addresses the comments received regarding the paving patterns and some of the hardscape around the building using impervious pavers and basket weave pattern. We also noting that the proposed plantings are drought tolerant and all proposed landscaping is within the property lines. More trees to the north were added to buffer between the existing fence line and the meadow to the west and the in between the landscape easement and the meadow. And the 2 trees to the south are existing to remain. So that was something that was clarified.
So this didn't make it to the minutes, but that was some of the comments from the review last time to incorporate some curved elements into hardscape and any landscaping features. So Robertson's then updated the little fountain feature to have a curve and also edited his hardscape areas to kind of reintroduce those curves to mimic the wall, existing curved wall that's right at the Lorraine front yard setback. And originally he did encroach, he changed that wall to encroach a little bit more into right of way. So since then he removed it and just kept the all the development outside of right of way and just kept the existing stone wall as it was. So there's no longer any work proposed in the right of way except for the new apron at the driveway. And obviously you can see he added some delineation at the driveway to kind of to separate it from the Lorraine Avenue as was suggested at the previous hearing.
Okay.
That would be all for us.
All right, we'll move on to questions from the board. Any other questions? No. All right. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so what's the story with the tile? What are you proposing?
It's this, if you go an exterior a little bit, yeah.
Can you blow that up that corner really, the full screen,
Yeah.
please? Is that like a continuous S-tile? Is that what it is?
It's
Up
like
and
a
down?
flat tile with like a slight curve. So it's kind of like, it creates that, horizontal profile when you look at the roof. It was
No,
brand
okay.
suggested by one of the board members. So it's not S-tile, and it's not a double, it's
Okay,
not a
thanks.
two-piece tile.
Okay. All right, we'll open up public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online? There are no letters.
We have no letters submitted. If anybody in the attendees column would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat or press *6 to raise your hand and *9 to unmute. Seeing no public comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with Amy.
Can you just show the list, the minutes
Oh, yeah.
from the last? Yeah, based on our comments from the last meeting, it appears you've addressed I think that the east elevation wall definitely looks better without having all the arches. So I appreciate that. Unsure about the roof tile, but I think that it does appear better option than the S tile. Comment on.
Yeah, I agree that removing the arches from that east wall is a good solution. I think the roof tile is still odd. And I think the comment about either two-piece barrel or flat was actually to make it flat. That still has the feeling of an S tile. I don't think that's the right solution.
Alex?
I agree with those comments. I think that tile doesn't really look right. It's not a flat tile, and it looks like an odd type of continuous. It doesn't look like a two-piece mission tile at all.
I believe that rear elevation improvements are really well handled, so that the house looks well designed. I don't have any thing further to add about the roof tile. I think we were pretty clear in our last meeting about what we're looking for there. So I'd like to see this project move to consent for preliminary and final.
Here.
Yeah, I'll defer to the architects on the improvements, I think, but I do think the rear elevation is much better proportions. And then in regards to landscape plan, I think the landscape architect made an attempt to respond to those comments. And I think if the owner, and realize there's ADA access issues with the hardscape. So my comment would just be as long as they're happy with this layout, I would be fine with it. And I think you've addressed some of the comments about the driveway apron and separation from the Lorraine Avenue and kind of delineating what's private property and what's kind of public property. I think that's being addressed now. So I think this is acceptable.
Robert?
I appreciate the way that the landscape architect broke up the hardscape with what appears to be banding, and it's, I think, a big improvement. And he also added in some planters up against the building in a few spots, which I think will help to soften it. So I appreciate those moves and addressing the comments, and I think you need to address the rest of the comments. And I also appreciate that he pulled everything into the site, so there wasn't proposed items off-site. So.
Yeah, I agree with the positive comments, and I defer to the architects on the roofing. I agree that the landscape plan was well adjusted for the previous comments. And yeah, I agree this could come back prelim final on consent once the roof is resolved, and yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we will move on to item 7, the Nazarian edition. Request of Edward Ausch, agent for Mike Nazarian, here for further conceptual review of a demolition of the existing 1,548 square foot single family dwelling and construction of a new 8,979 square foot single family dwelling. The following structures exist: the 1,548 square foot single family residence, a garage of 400 square feet, and storage and tool rooms of 250 square feet. It's a 2.33 acre parcel located at 455 Toro Canyon Road in the Toro Canyon Community Plan area. I'll read the previous comments. The project must be redesigned. The mass bulk and scale of the proposed project is not compatible with the existing neighborhood, and the project is not compliant with the development standards of the Toro Canyon Community Plan area. The architectural style is not compatible with the neighborhood and does not fit with the rural setting. Use of non-regionally specific materials doesn't match the proposed architectural style. Window fenestrations and execution of details is inappropriate for the site. The board suggests the applicant return with an FAR study of the neighborhood. So you can go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation.
Is this already on? Oh, yeah. Okay. That's very loud. Hi, everybody. I'm Eddie Osuch, and I can do justice. I'm the architect for the project. And yeah, I kind of want to just jump into it. Whoa. And let me totally turn off my phone. Excuse me. Sorry. And to put on airplane. So let's start off with some of the comments from last time. Since the last meeting, we've gone and refined our project. So let's start off with, we had a meeting with the planners on site so they could actually see the actual grading of the site and how things are happening out there. And we've also added an extensive array of information, that's to say, additional site analysis, and also redesigned the exterior elevations to more closely match the city hall and of the local vicinity. So that's also come into play, and we also have reduced the footprint somewhat. So now we're at an 89, 96, I believe is the final number. I had it written somewhere, and the that's the gross, but the net is 7238. We're well within the FAR of the neighborhood, and we've also put together an analysis of that as well. So let's jump into the fun stuff. Let's take a look at the drawings. So the first one you see on our plot plan, the site is located in between the two creeks on each side. And so we have those, let's just say, opportunities to work with. But you can see the red line on the right is off the creek that comes off down Toro Canyon Road, and the one on the left is the Toro Canyon Creek itself. So you can see the red lines, that's 50 feet in, and you can see also the blue outline is of the existing home, the blue dashed line, excuse me, and forgive my eyes if that's red or green, but you can see the red dashed line of the proposed house. Now, if you could please go to the next slide. Oh, actually, no, let's stay on the site plan, because it's really all about the site plan. We're only removing one tree, and it's on the right, the upper right side of the pad. No, it's actually where the pad is, where the home's going to be a little bit lower. So we're not touching we're not taking out any protected trees. And we're only moving that one tree. So you can see tree to be removed. It's on the, actually, let's go a couple slides down. That's the first, second floor plan with the exterior. Keep going. Roof plan. Don't you have a, don't you have an A2? Excuse me. Don't you have an A2? You have an A2? Because if you
red dashed.
you don't have a red dashed line around your, okay. Well, there's a red circle. It's on the upper right corner, and that's the only tree that's being removed. It's supposed to be on A2. I don't know why I got a different conflicting one here. Okay. Okay. Then let me go to let's go into the elevations then. Well, actually, if you could go to the roof plan. It's the next one down. Okay, have my team work on the file size. It's just taking your computer down. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's, that's the whole thing is it actually has been reduced and it needs to be reduced again. I agree. So on the roof plan, we're all within the 28 feet limit, height limit. The wall that's visible of the tower has been also reduced so that it's not as tall as what it's before. And you'll be able to see that when we get to the elevations. So the entire project is underneath the allotted 28-foot barrier. Yeah, let's go to the elevations. So if you zoom it, when we zoom on the more CAD one on the bottom, so you can see some of the dimensions. You see the whole house is underneath the 28 feet, except for the very top of the chimney. That's the only thing that's breaking that barrier. It's just for safety reasons. I mean, we could possibly get it a little bit lower, but that's the only thing that's up that high. Per the review board last time, we've gone back in and we've this is sized all the windows and the fenestrations with a more harmonious, we used our golden rectangle, or golden ratio, excuse me, rule about it and put that all in there. So if you go up to the elevation above it, you'll see what it's like when it's actually rendered a bit with a little bit of shadow and shade. And you can see as it moves towards the right, towards the drive going up, it steps down and away, and you'll see it more as we go through the other elevations. Can you go to the next one, please? This is the looking south elevation. And you can see there, the tower is at the 25 feet limit. And when I say tower, I mean the part that's actually containing the stairs on the right. It's covered with the local stone, and since it has a flat or relatively flatter roof, it's at a lower height limit than the rest of the building. Oh, why don't you go back up again, just so you can see the whole thing in color. Go up a little bit. You can see we've gone back in and reproportioned a lot of the elevation, brought in more elements. And that's it. Okay, let's go to the side elevations. You can see the walkway on the right inside the colonnade. And there's a bit of a walkway on the left. It's just a little bit darker because of the stone in the background. If you could go up to the colored version, there you go. You can see it in the distance. You can see how it's shaded. And there's a lot of play as far as dimensionality and the proximity on each side. So, all right, let's keep going. And so this is the drive elevation. As you come up to the property, you can see that we are on the existing plateau that's on the project. So that is one other aspect that I really want to bring to light. We are really trying to work within this existing area to minimize any cut and fill. We're at 50 cubic yards or less. And also we have to be at least 18 inches above the existing grade due to FEMA concerns. So we have to have the building, raised up on that platform. Okay. Can you go up and see it from the side again? So the element that was referred to as the tower is actually really not the tower. The tower is actually to the left of it. It's the element that contains the stairs on the right with all the stone covering. So you can see here as well, we've brought down a lot of the dimensionality. We've used that golden ratio again, and really kind of made the building more harmonious to the area. Okay, let's go a little bit further. There's some sections you can, on these, the most important thing to see is that we have to have that, amount of distance, and we have to have that raised foundation. And we also see that we are underneath the 28-foot height limit. Okay, let's go down. These are some normal details, and we're going to stay within the split S tile. And then it was also suggested to us to bring in some other more night sky friendly exterior lamps. So the exterior lighting is, you can see the specification there on the lower right. Okay, and this is the existing again. Oh, maybe you have it in the set. Maybe it's just further down. Maybe it's just in a different order. Go down just a little bit. I'm sorry, just go up a little, just so they can see the whole site. Still don't have the red dot. So, okay, let's go with, we were also asked to show our relationship to the abutting properties. So we have cross sections through different points of the project. So you can see A, B, and C were at either the same level or below the adjacent properties. You can see 475 Canyon is actually a bit above us. And you can also see 2960 Torito is below us. So you can see how we're situated pretty far from all of our neighbors. And actually, section AA reveals that the creek is in between us and those two neighbors, and pretty similar down in section BB. Those were the analysis that were asked of the previous board. We actually went out and did a full LiDAR examination of the entire site and how things are related to the exposure and how we're going to affect other people's line of sight and visibility. So between the LiDAR and different algorithms put together, it shows the amount that's being exposed. So the red is showing how, the minimal, zero effect on those particular buildings. And as it goes towards the blue, it shows a higher and higher percentage of how the view is cut off. So we totally dug into a lot of calculation for this, but this shows you how, how we're positioning the project minimally affects the neighbors. And this is taken full height. And the next one, we use the same LiDAR technology actually for these as well. And this is for the FARs of the existing adjacent properties. You can see that we're at a very um, let's just say Humble, 7.09 FAR. And we are on a very large site. We're at 2.34 acres. So the ratio is incredibly small. You can see all the neighbors and how they're, and we have the graphs that you guys asked for or was requested of us. Let's put it that way. And so the FAR average of the adjacents were at 9.52. Boy. Okay. This one, we're also doing the environmental impact of our sites and how it affects as far as grading is concerned. This is really to show how we're trying to minimize the amount of grading that we're going to be doing on the property.
Keep going.
And this shows also per the section of the charter, which I had up on my phone. It's like, hold on just a moment. I took a screenshot. Per the section 35-144.4 with exemptions, the board may exempt a new structure or alteration to an existing structure given harsh or extreme site limitations. And that's why we're bringing up this slide. So according to that section, if there's a lot of different items, we can ask for an exemption. And this graph on the right shows you that we have 7, almost 8 layers of exemptions. Not exemptions, but restrictions on the site. We're only asking for the one exemption. We're not even asking for an exemption. We're just pointing out the height limit. You can see we have our flood plain, our existing landscape, our grade, our slope, and then also the what's it at the top there, riparian barrier? I can't even read it anymore. So there's just, you take all of those layers over to each other, and you see the only area that we can build is in the little white area right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So, and this also shows that, where we're trying to stay where the site is mostly flat. We're using that technology again to show, you can tell why we're putting it where we want to put it.
Okay.
Or let's put it this way. We're putting it where we have to put it. And then this is an analysis of the solar orientation. My client would like to use some solar panel for the property, of course. So it'll be on those elevations. Those sloped roofs. So, and keep going. And part of about all the, I'm sorry, I'm sighing a lot. I gotta stop doing that. But part of the wind orientation was part of the project as well. You can see we have a majority of the wind comes from the south and west. So you can see we really wanted that to come through the house to keep the house naturally cool or more warm, however you want to look at it. So you can see how it comes through the house and goes out to the sides. So that was another reason why we have as much fenestration and as much windows as we do on those elevations.
Okay.
And here is showing how we use the golden ratio for above. We kept superimposing the ratio onto the elevations to show how we're complying with that, or we're using that as a design tool, excuse me. You can definitely see, actually, if you go up, if you zoom in on the lower left, you can also see pretty well on this sketch or rendering that how we're trying to work with the landscape. And it is a pedestal, I understand, but we do have to have that for FEMA. And the whole house is, in proportion to everything around it. Or to itself, let's put it that way. Okay, and then as far as architectural style, it was suggested to our team that we go back and we look at the courthouse. So if you zoom in, can you zoom in on the up? Let's just go item by item really quick. You can see we brought in all these elements. We have the exposed rafters that you see on the City Hall. Of course, the thick white walls, which is Santa Barbara's known for. The balconies, we have that on one of our elevations. We have the succession of arches for our walkways. And then let's go to the other side. The recessed balcony, so we're basically showing that none of these elements are coming from nowhere. I mean, they're all inspired and they're all integrated into the project. And there's our sandstone and shutters and shutters. Top out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was more than you wanted to hear.
There is a planner memo in the folder, so I'm going to go ahead and read that really quick. Clarifies the hillside ridgeline requirements. So,
Oh, and one last thing, I would like to move it to, I believe you called it consent. That's what I'd like to move out of conceptual into consent, if it's possible.
okay, we can see how the
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the planner comments, the project site is subject to a 16-foot height limit due to ridgeline and hillside development guidelines. SBAR may exempt proposed development from compliance with the 16-foot height limit. The exemption criteria listed below are in the bulleted list. The applicant previously requested that the board exempt the proposed development from a 16-foot height limit. The applicant requested that the entire second floor of the proposed single-family dwelling be allowed to be a maximum height of 25 feet. The height limit of the zone and 28 where portions of the roof exhibit a more than 4 and 12 roof pitch. At the last SBAR hearing on March 21st, 2025, SBAR stated that they are not supportive of the exemption request for the site exceedance as proposed. The applicant has resubmitted and continues to request that SBAR exempt the proposed development from the 16-foot height limit so that the entire second floor of the proposed single-family dwelling be allowed to be a maximum height of 25 feet. The height limit of the zone, 28, where portions are over 4 and 12 roof pitch. The exemption criteria for the ridgeline and hillside development guidelines. SBAR may exempt the proposed development from compliance with these guidelines, provided that they find one or more of the following situations applies to the proposed development. Due to unusual circumstances, strict adherence to these guidelines would inordinately restrict the building footprint or height below the average enjoyed by the neighborhood. For example, the significant existing vegetation, lot configuration, topography, or unusual geologic features may necessitate exceeding the height limit in order to build a dwelling comparable to other structures in the neighborhood. In certain circumstances, allowing greater flexibility in the guidelines will better serve the interests of good design without negatively affecting the neighborhood compatibility or the surrounding view shed. And we already read the project description. So we can move on to questions from the board.
Yeah, I have one. Could we go to sheet 15, please? To the FAR, like the neighborhood compatibility study.
Do we have a reference of what was previously presented? I think I wasn't here for some of this because I'm reading these comments and they're pretty gnarly, so.
I don't know that these comments are the most recent because it's also saying it was continued in 2024, and I know we saw it in 2025. And actually the planner's memo says that too.
These comments relate to a design, who presented it? This applicant? Or?
I think you presented it the last time it was here, or was someone else?
The last time it was here, but there was someone before me, yes. And then that one, the comments were really rough.
Yeah.
These aren't comments on this design.
I don't think so.
No.
This is a full redesign of what was originally designed. That's,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're seeing, yeah.
They were.
Can we get those comments?
Kevin, do you have the minutes from the hearing that you referenced in the planner memo?
Oh, here it is.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll read these. The project has been has been improved, but mass, bulk, and scale are still too large. Reduced size. Board is not supportive of the exemption requested for the height exceedance as proposed. Project does not engage with property and existing landscaping. Site and story poles are required. Applicant may choose to do story poles later after redesigning to reduce the size. Architectural details are not congruent with mission revival style. Studying detailing. Roof should be two-piece mission tile rather than one-piece S tile. Stone pattern does not match style. Roof overhangs are not consistent with architectural style throughout the building. Architectural detailing of different elevations is incongruent. Study ways to integrate elements of each elevation to make the project more cohesive. Arches are more appreciated. However, walls and columns should be thickened. Return with site sections. Renderings make project appear modern and don't accurately demonstrate the proposed style. And return with the landscape plan that demonstrates the location of all existing environmentally sensitive habitat, native trees, and all site constraints. Arborist report likely required. It would appear that you had these minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we were given the previous version.
You can see we've addressed a majority of those
Yeah.
issues.
Any other questions from the board? Oh, you had one.
Yeah, just on sheet 15, could you clarify what real area means in one of the columns? Is that referring to net square footage of the houses adjacent? What does the real area mean?
Oh, okay. So this was comparing an old exhibit, and then the real area is the ones that we were actually researched when we brought up on. So those are.
What is the real area referring to?
Net.
The square footage, but is it the, what?
Because I kind of cross-checked a few of these and they didn't seem county related or Zillow related or assessor. So just wanted to see what that was referring to.
No, it's just the real area. That should be the one that's pulled from the records. I need to double check my team on that.
So maybe net.
Yeah.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it looks like you were saying that the neighbor had an exhibit that called a property, like zoom back in on where we just were.
Oh, I see. So it's the
That
neighbor's
neighbor
exhibit.
said 2,500 and you're saying 3,900.
Yes. That's what it was. I'm sorry. There was a previous
confusing.
exhibit from the neighbor that was showing significantly lower numbers. That's what that was about.
But where did the 3,900 come from?
No, we've gone back in and we've brought in the new numbers.
You guys pulled those from?
Those were taken from the county records. So.
I mean, okay, yeah, we'll go on to the comments. And then the other question was from the last meeting, has there been a reduction? It looked like, is the size the same, the gross?
The gross, I believe, are still a little bit smaller, but the net has definitely decreased. So we put it back into how the city sees certain spaces.
Right. But okay, so the bulk is stayed the same.
The bulk it's shorter. So yeah, the bulk, the width, let's just put it, the overall footprint has not changed, but the height and the volume has changed. We've gotten shorter. We've reduced, well, the tower element, we brought it down by the 3 suggested feet. We've also brought down, I think before we did penetrate a little bit of the 28-foot limit, and now we've brought that down. We lowered the height of the first floor and the second floor as well. I mean, the interior floors. So.
Portions went above 28 feet.
Yeah, a little bit went above, yeah. The only thing that goes through now is the very top of that fireplace, the chimney.
I guess there's one more question. It says, is there landscaping proposed for this project? Or they're anticipating, I don't know if you're aware of the client, I'm sure you are, but project of this size, will have a significant disturbance. Just wondering what's the landscape
for
this, or do you want to get more feedback before you come back with a landscape plan?
No, actually, as far as the landscape, we're actually not suggesting any at the moment because the entire site is fully landscaped as it is. And where we're suggesting to build, it's, except for that one tree that we're removing, it's grass. It's the house and grass. That's what's there now.
Okay.
It's,
Are there integrated planters into the construction of the home?
yeah, we are integrating some along the perimeter of that. If you go to the first floor plan, I think it's sheet like 5. Keep going. Oh, that's roof plan. First floor plan probably will show it.
You're probably gonna have to have a landscape plan just to identify what you're gonna put in those planters.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, you are correct. My apologies. Yes, we have those planters. You can see the green zones around the perimeter. Yeah.
Probably there's gonna be some level of disturbance outside the boundary of where your building exists that will require integrating the.
Yeah.
That's a comment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's gonna go beyond it. Yeah. But we are trying to limit the amount of, it's, usually I would, yeah, I understand your analysis of it. But is there a way for you to actually see the actual site? Can you bring it up on Google?
What happened to the site visit? What happened to the site visit?
So the planner, because our comments were very clear that the
Oh, no, don't put me on the ground. Just leave me up above.
side ridgeline requirement needed to be reduced to have the site visit, the site visit was delayed until that discussion could be had.
If you could just zoom in to like where the house is actually located. And this is what I'm trying to say. There is like a small group of some kind of planting there on the left, but it's basically sitting in a green meadow on the top of the hill, and that's why that's the only reason why I'm suggesting that it almost fits perfect to almost just place it. And that is the one tree that we're going to lose on the upper right. So the unprotected tree. The one there, I'm not sure it's the exact species, but it's not protected. So.
Some of the trees were identified on this plan, but I'm not sure that one was. Okay, any other questions from the board before we move on to public comment? No, that one wasn't identified. Okay, all right, we'll move on to public comment. There's letters and there we also have requests. I don't have any. Oh, okay. This file has like frozen my window, so I might have you.
Let's tape.
They're stacked in the order that they wish to speak. Okay. What I was going to try to cross check is if there's any letters that aren't pertaining to the speakers that are here so that we can put those on the screen. Yeah. We can start with the speakers and then follow up with any letters. Okay. All right. Each of the public commenters will get 3 minutes to speak, and we'll first call up Lawrence Doret. Jonathan, can you use the timer? Or do you want me to do it? Oh, you got the timer. Okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Introduce myself. Lawrence Doret. I'm a physician. My wife and I have lived in the Toro Canyon for 20 years. And this is our 4th time in front of you. And I salute your service and especially your patience and forbearance. The Mike Nazarian at the house in question has been my neighbor for over 10 years. And we will say upfront, because of your feedback from last, the architect has come up with a plan that's much more aesthetically pleasing. And we're grateful to you for that. But we want to be clear that we're not trying to deny him the right to improve his property. We're merely asking that the renovation be reasonably sized in the context of the surrounding neighborhood, which is ecologically delicate and a semi-rural area. And unfortunately, this new design is still way out of proportion for the Toro Canyon neighborhood, which we hope that the plan will still be the Toro Canyon plan, the benchmark that you guys will follow. And I just want to focus on size, because the keywords in the Toro Canyon plan are bulk, size, and scale. And Mr. Osich commented that he's run the numbers and they're not right. But I beg to differ. And we got all these numbers come from the county, from Ryan Cooksley, who was a county planner who gave them to us, and we just integrated them. And they are gross square footage, and they're accurate. At least I know they're accurate for my house and my neighbors' houses, and I presume that they're accurate for the other houses. And we don't think, these are from 2014. We don't think there's been that much building since 2014. So I think these numbers are pretty good, and we've asked for new numbers, but we haven't got them. And I don't think they're much different since there hasn't been that much building. These are 49 houses here. This is our neighborhood. I don't know where Mr. Osich got his houses to say that the square footage, the average is 3,900. Certainly not in my neighborhood, not these 49 houses. And at the first meeting that you guys had back in June of 2024, we can remember that far back, we were talking about a mansion of about 10,000 square feet. And then a few months later in October, it jumped up to 12,000. And then again last March, it was 9,000, including a garage, but not an ADU. Here, they don't include a garage. And I think we have to assume that they're going to ask for a garage at some point, and the garage will be, 400 to 800 square feet, and they can put in an ADU if they want of, 800 to 1,200 square feet. So it's going to be bigger. But let's compare apples to apples. Let's stick with the current 9,000 square foot, which is these numbers reflected. And you can see that the average square footage is not 3,900 for these 49 houses, but 2,700, roughly, 2,724. And 9,000 is way up, almost off the chart, you see on the left. And when you look at the average and median, on the right, and you can see the same thing. Well, this is the same slide. You've put up the same slide twice, Jonathan. If you can put the other one up, that'd be great. Yeah, we can see that one on the left now. You can. Yeah, okay. It's almost 3 minutes already. Wow. Okay, give me a second. This would be great for Beverly Hills or Montecito, but it's a bad precedent to set for Toro Canyon. And we ask also, we just want it to be compatible with the quasi-rural area. And this house is not. It just isn't. And if you come out to see it, you'll find that out. We also, last thing, we want you to not exempt them from the 16-foot limit. That's very important.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, and we would have had more people here to talk, but we just found out about this meeting 4 days ago, which is a kind of crazy system. If you find out last minute, and people are sick, people have family things, that's why there aren't more of us here.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for your time, and thank you very much for your service. That's really important.
Thank you. All right, we'll call up Adam Birnbaum.
Good morning. And like Lori, I want to thank you for your diligent service. I think I mentioned I've been here before. I was planning manager for a city with a very robust design review process, and I'm very impressed with your knowledge and how the amount of insight you provide to applicants and neighbors and all. So thank you very much. Like Lori, I would say that these plans definitely have improved, and that's a wonderful thing to see, but there still are some concerns. I think they're pretty well articulated in the correspondence that you've received, where people have talked about what the applicable standards are review are for the BAR, looking at your bylaws, looking at the county's design ordinance, looking at the Toro Canyon. And in each case, we still feel that there's some inconsistencies, some lack of consistency with those standards of review, specifically with respect to the scale of the project and its compatibility with surrounding area. And I think Laurie has, demonstrated some of that with his slides and the like. We think a site visit is really important here so that you get a sense of the neighborhood. We see that there was one scheduled. I understand why it was canceled, deferred, it sounds like, but we think that's really critical. Also, especially because they are considering a request for an exemption from the height, a set of story poles we think is really important so that you and the neighbors get a sense of the scale that's really proposed here. Again, the concerns have been raised are brought with respect to the scale of the project, although definitely there's been some improvement in terms of design. There's a lot of articulation, but that also comes at the expense of what I'll call some ghost massing. It's a big project, and although it is a big site and there are quantifiable standards for FAR that are allowed, there are still design standards with respect to, is it compatible with surrounding area, with the community, with the neighboring properties. Again, I mentioned, I think story poles are really critical here, and a site visit will give you a better sense. The other thing that I wanted to mention that's not necessarily within your purview is the unauthorized grading that has occurred on the site. And it's pretty significant. I'm surprised that this project was allowed to move forward before that's resolved. But we think it's something that's a very clear message needs to be sent that needs to be resolved because there are impacts to a natural creek bed that goes through this property. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We'll call up Jeff Chancer next.
Good morning, still good morning. My name is Jeff Chancer and I live in Toro Canyon. I've lived there for 17 years and love it there. And once again, we do not want to deny the Nazarians for building a home there, but it has to come within certain requirements. I'd like to talk about two comments that and I am not an architect. Get that, not an architect. I'd like to talk just briefly about two comments that the architect did make today that I have a bit of an issue with. The first comment in an opening, he said, the exteriors of this house are to match City Hall. At a previous meeting, this board said that the architectural style of this project is not compatible with the area. I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that you meant for the style of this home to match City Hall. I think you meant it to be compatible with the area. City Hall may be a beautiful building. The second comment was towards the end of what the architect was saying. He said, the view will minimally affect the neighbors. He's talking about the elevations. Well, I don't know what his definition of minimally means. It may not mean the same to the building or the architect as it does to us. So I think that's important. As a former educator, a retired educator, I used to work with a lot of boards of education, similar to what you guys do. And I knew that the Board of Education was my boss and gave me direction on what they wanted, regardless of what I felt was a better curriculum or a better discipline program or whatever. They were the boss. And in your past meetings, this board stated, this proposal is not what we're going to be doing in Toro Canyon, and you should seek out a local architect. Now, I know the Nazarians have choice, choose whoever you want as an architect. But if my Board of Education told me that I should do something, I had a choice either to do it or not to do it. And I think that you guys calling the shots, we ought to live up to what your recommendation is. So I'd like to thank you again for your service and et cetera. Thank you.
Okay, we'll next call up Antonia Robertson.
Good morning. I'm Antonia Robertson, and I live next door to the subject property. And I too would like to thank you for your patience and fortitude. Yeah, we all recognize that Mr. Nazarian has a right to build, but sometimes I'm wondering if they're even listening to BAR guidance. The latest iteration of this project, even without the garage and the ADU, which I'm sure they will want later, is too big, and it's too high, much too high. And I hope and pray the board will not give this exemption. I believe the fall off and the slope in front of the house means that it should be at the 16-foot height. It's probably also got too much cut and fill, and I don't know if that's real FEMA entirely required or not, but it seems to me it's too much. We love living in Toro Canyon, and so do other residents. When the local residents were surveyed for the Toro Canyon plan, so the plan would reflect their values, nobody asked for a mansion. Nobody supported mansions in the area. They wanted houses that fit in and were, retained the neighborhood look of kind of smaller and fitting into all the trees and woodlands and all of that. So they wanted to retain the semi-rural low-key character, and that's what the Toro Canyon plan and the county incorporated as guidelines, repeatedly stressing size and scale of neighborhood homes, which, as Laurie explained, is, this house would be 3 times at least, never mind the garage and ADU. So it seriously violates the goals that were put in place. And yes, the subject lot is a lot larger than some of the surrounding ones, but I think the principle is to lean to fitting into the neighborhood more than, if you've got 50 acres, now you can build a 40,000 square foot house or a 50,000. It's not like that. And I remember back to a couple of years ago, there would be heavy equipment next door, a lot, and they would be very active after 4 p.m. or on weekends when the inspectors weren't around, and there'd be 3 or 4, no, not 4, 2 or 3 at a time, moving boulders around berms, boulders, creek, and it's still like that. Where it was left, it's still that way. So even when there was a red tag restraining order on the gate, it was still going on. So the creek rearrangement's the same, and I just don't know how BAR or the other authorities can grant exemptions or of any kind, or let Mr. Nazarian go ahead while that's all, left as is. And another thing I wanted to, and there are numerous errors on the plan. For example, a lot size is wrong and the trees are all ringed as if for removal. And it makes me wonder, what else might be wrong? Live oaks are a big concern. Time's up. Oh, darn. Well, yeah, it was a big concern for the Toro Canyon plan for its beauty and for the ecology. And I would like to ask the board to actually put a ban on any live oaks being cut down on the property for now and in the future. And thank you very much for your attention.
All right, next we'll call up David Freed.
Good morning. My name is David Freed. I live at 462 Toro Canyon Road, directly across the road from the property in question. I promise I'll keep my comments to under 3 minutes. They're largely reiterations of what everybody else has already said. I remain deeply concerned about the size of the mansion that Mr. Nazarian intends to build in proportion not merely to itself, as his architect just stated, but to the vast majority of other more modestly sized homes in the neighborhood, including mine. That said, and as other speakers have just stated, I think that this new plan is an improvement aesthetically over his previous submission. Still, many questions remain. Principally, the applicant's architect seeks to sell algorithms that this mansion will somehow blend harmoniously with its surroundings without violating the canyon's purposely underdeveloped serenity. However, many of the illustrations in these new plans, particularly as they relate to sight lines, are difficult to interpret, at least from a lay perspective. At a minimum, it seems reasonable to request before any permits are considered that story poles be erected to assess more accurately to what extent any new construction will be visible from the road or from surrounding properties. No less significantly, I remain concerned about the applicant's maintenance of protected vegetation and his compliance with whatever future direction county authorities may dictate in the construction of any new structures, given his previous and flagrant disregard of state and county regulations pertaining to the preservation of Toro Creek, which runs directly behind his property. As county officials are aware, Mr. Nazarian, following our tragic debris flows 9 years ago, hired earth-moving crews who constructed a massive non-permitted berm behind his property, altering the course of the creek without regard to how it might impact his neighbors either upstream or down. Even after his efforts were red tagged by the county, Mr. Nazarian's crews continued to work on weekends when safety and grading inspectors would be off duty. It seems incredulous to me that permits for any new construction would be considered without Mr. Nazarian first restoring the creek to its original state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and we'll, that's all the speaker slips I have, but let's put all the public comment letters and then
We do have one more person online.
Someone's online, okay.
Nello Manciati. Yep.
Yes.
Would you like to speak on this item?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes?
Yes, you can go ahead and state your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I am, my name is Nello Manciari. I am part of the team with the architect who is there in the place, in your site. And I just want to have a quick comment on the chart that the first gentleman presented. I feel sorry for that, but he is referring to a wrong site. The APN number he referred is 155-140-014, and we are 005-050-011. So all his chart goes to nowhere because it's not real. Our size of the lot.
No, not ours. He's talking about the one from the neighbor.
That one.
Yeah, if you could zoom in on that number.
Parcel number is wrong.
That's not our APN number.
Our lot is double size, so the arrow that he's putting on the right side goes to the half of the size because the APR is half of it. That's the only one comment I want to do about that. And the other one about the neighbor.
Wait a second, Nello, can you please?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, and the second one is the neighbor in 475 Toro Canyon. We did a LiDAR. I don't know if the board is familiar with that. Is the ultimate technology to size any house on the neighborhood. And we spend several thousands of dollars doing the LiDAR of every single neighbor. And those numbers that you have on the chart, they are not real.
Okay,
So,
understood. And
please,
I
only
think there's some
that
significant concerns with the accuracy of both charts. And so that we'll address that in the comment period. But if for future reference, if you're part of the applicant team, your comments need to be part of the presentation rather than in the public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Timing. Okay, there's no one else online. And so let's put the public comment letters on the screen for the record. I cannot get them to load on my, I got one to load finally. I know it's, yeah, for some reason this folder is having a hard time. Okay, let's put all of them on the screen just in case they have additional information from what was presented. I'm not going to be able to read all of them. We're just gonna have to put them up there. So this, we had a public commenter that wrote this letter. So that's David and Betsy Freed. He presented, yeah. So we're just putting the ones with the presenters on, and then the ones that if people were not, yeah, if people were not here, then we'll make sure we have enough time to see those. Lawrence Dorrit was here. Who is this? Okay, so we'll just, is it in favor or against? Or yeah. Similar comments and yeah. Okay, next. These are the tables we have prints of. Okay. And Stephen Thompson was not a speaker today, correct? Okay, another neighbor at 521 Toro Canyon. Not compatible. Okay, so against, okay. And this is Ted Road. This was Antonia Robertson, one of the speakers today. Let's scroll through it so that it's all on the record. Okay. Okay. Yeah, did the Ted Rhodes one make it on? Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll close public comment and we'll move on to comments from the board. And I just want to make sure as comments come through, is Kevin De Los Santos, the planner, online in case any questions come up?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And actually, before we move on to comments, I want to, I had a reason for asking Kevin. There's a environmentally sensitive habitat overlay on this property. Has that already been assessed by you on whether the buffers are being adhered to?
Yes, it is. So it's on the west side of the property from the creek on the west, and it is.
Okay, I just didn't see the line. I just wanted to make it so that we don't have to rehash it in comments. Okay.
Can we ask again the question about what kind of measure does it need to exceed the 16-foot limit? Is that like an exception, an interpretation, or what finding? Huh?
Yeah, we have the planner memo, so maybe we can put that back up.
Generally, it's for good design.
The findings.
Extenuating.
I had a question too. I
Yes.
just wanted clarification on, just want to make sure I'm not confusing the MDC requirements in terms of how square footage is calculated. But I believe on a submittal basis, square footage, it's calculated from inside wall net, right? Not, I know that there's.
Kevin, can you confirm that?
Just want to make sure I'm clear about Toro Canyon.
I could pull up the definitions from Article 2, but it's generally for gross. It's from the inside of exterior walls, and then net deducts items like halls and stairwells. But I could get the exact definitions to you if you give me a moment.
So you say that again from the top.
Yeah, gross square footage is generally the inside area from exterior walls. It also includes roofed porches and uncovered porch areas. The net area deducts stairwells, corridors, and maybe a few other items within houses, but I could get you those exact definitions if you give me a minute.
I think that answers the question. It's consistent with MDC in terms of making available deeper walls detailing for better architectural detailing, right? So we're not penalized by thickness of wall and depth of windows and so on and so forth. So, okay, thank you.
For planning purposes.
All right, we'll move on to comments now. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and start. I want to make it really clear to the applicant that we as a board are tasked with implementing local community plans. And the Toro Canyon Plan is a plan that many people, both from planning, design review, and community members, spent a lot of time to formulate. And part of the reason was to protect that area in its rural nature and to also make it clear that the rural ridgeline guidelines were to be adhered to in the rural ridgeline areas, of which this is one. So on that bigger picture of trying to understand what our board needs to do, it's very difficult to make a height exemption because everybody is dealing with the same issues in the rural area. They have environmental conditions, they have creeks, they have slopes, they have protected trees. So everybody works within all those restrictions to make their design. And when we have made exemptions, it has been for maybe a few feet of roof to protrude, not for an entire second story. So I want to be clear that that second story is really out of character with the goals of the Toro Canyon plan and with what the neighborhood is saying when they're all taking the time to come forward and write letters or speak. It's about how they want to protect this semi-rural nature of that area. So that's the bigger picture. If we talk about design features, I think it's true that you've been trying to capture Spanish colonial architectural details, but you've picked from many different sources, and the house feels too much of everything. Aside even from the size, it's too many types of windows, too many types of arches, too many different materials, a wood balcony mixed in with an arcade. The reference to City Hall, I would take issue with also because that is not the rural nature of a Toro Canyon country house, even in a Mediterranean style. So I think that the whole design of the house could be simplified substantially. And I mean, even proportionally, the windows, you mentioned trying to use a consistency of proportional scale, but yet they read as very tight breakups in some places, very big breakups in others, different heights, different spacing. It just could be simplified. Then if we go around to the side where that stone stairwell is, yeah, yeah. I think it's an odd architectural projection, particularly scroll down to the side view of it more, go down more. There. It looks like just a two-story wall of stone sort of popping out of the side of the building. But that's all kind of details. I think the more important thing is that I think an exemption is really a problem for this project. And so it's still, you're heading in a better direction than where it started, but it should be meeting the 16-foot height limit and or 19 for a 4 and 12 or greater. And follow the directions that everybody follows in this area. And in terms of landscape, a project of this size definitely needs a landscape plan. There's major impact to the ground. Maybe there's a need for arborist report to guarantee that the oak trees and the kind of woodland that's around the creeks is truly protected. And then I do need to just comment on the fact that there's all this concern about grading and walls being built after the debris flow. That's a very serious thing, because there was quite a bit of chaos after the debris flow, and certain people thought we need to protect ourselves and built walls and rearranged grades and moved boulders without concern for their neighbors. And to redirect a major creek like that in any way is very problematic. So I hope that county planning is taking a look at that. That's a serious thing. So that's a lot that I just said, but I think that it's important for you to understand the local policies and format that this property exists within, and that's our board's job. Okay, thanks.
I do actually agree with what Valerie said, and because we do need to be supportive of an exemption, and we need to confirm like mass, bulk, and scale and neighborhood compatibility, it feels like the scale of the building is far too large for the location, especially looking for myself just on for the square footage and the sizing of the neighborhood. So I would agree a simplified version of the style that you're moving with, I think would be appropriate.
Well, first I want to acknowledge that the applicant did an excellent job bringing the presentation, bringing the drawings, bringing the analysis. It should be recognized because, yeah, incredible amount of work. There are some questions as to what exactly are the real numbers, and it would be nice to know. But yeah, as far as the architecture, I think architecture is the style is. I believe that the board can go with a Spanish colonial revival. I support the concept of simplifying. Some things could be simplified, which is what it means that usually, they have less elements, simpler masses and so forth. But it's been a great improvement over the previous presentation. So I'd like to acknowledge that. I'd really like to know more about what it would take to really make this exception. I mean, I really have not heard a good argument from the applicant as to, what are they? This is a two-story exception. There were some comments about square footage here and there and so forth, which are complicated because some lots are so much larger than others. So the FARs are kind of hard to compare sometimes. But what is exactly the argument for the second story? If that the other, which is what exceeds basically the 19 feet, would be allowed? Is it like all the neighbors have 2 stories, or most of the neighbors, or that would be, at least if I were in your position, I would start trying to find, because I haven't heard the argument as to why this is supposed to be, it's allowed to have 2 stories, especially a full 2 stories. One way to move forward would be to maybe make a site visit with story poles, as they are. They are expensive, but compared to the amount of work that you're doing, maybe that definitely makes sense. And just have the story poles, and we go and take a look, and then you can make your argument that's showing that this is not different from the one next door and so forth. We can see that. Anyway, that's all I have.
First of all, thanks to the public and the neighborhood and the neighbors for coming today to participate in this. Really appreciate your participation and respect your opinions and value your insights into this. Hopefully that this board can mitigate this with the neighbors and the applicant. It'd be a shame if this turned into appeal. It may end up there, but if it does, it'll go up the chain and then it'll come back to us with very clear direction on what we can and can't do to move it forward. I think everybody involved here should settle in here. I think we're going to be here a while. There's a lot of issues here to mitigate. Kind of before I make comments, just to set the record straight, I believe the comments about City Hall are inaccurate. I think the reference, if I'm not mistaken, was with the county courthouse. And I think it should be stated that the county courthouse is what's known by architects and others as an architectural folly, in that it is an amalgam and a collection of sketchbook details that were basically stolen from Europe and brought here and mashed together to create examples of and ideas and work out building techniques and so forth for this region as an inspiration for building going forward after the great earthquake that this town had in the 20s. So probably I would tread lightly on continuing to use that as a reference for this project. I think if I'm interpreting that correctly, there's an indication to go look at that building as maybe an inspiration or a way to find ideas on how to architecturally detail this house. And I think that comes from the initial presentation that was rather lacking in the kind of quality of architecture we're looking for. But I think going forward, I don't think that this neighborhood or this particular project is going to benefit from creating another architectural folly. I don't intend to say that what's being presented today falls in that category, but it does the project as presented does seem to be attempting quite a bit of different architectural details and moves and styles, and I think that can be resolved through a bit of refinement. And so I'm not placing that on my top concerns, but I think Valerie's comments about that are valid, and that there needs to be some attention to this. I mean, from a correctness in terms of proportion and scale and the use of the golden sections, there's a lot of good tools at work there, and we could continue to use those tools to look at this. But I think we have some bigger issues to settle first. So I think the other thing I wanted to mention is that there was another comment made by one of the members of the public. I just want to make sure we're being accurate about. Well, maybe I'll remember that in a second. I kind of want to put a context around how I tend to review projects in this area. I've had the opportunity to survey Toro Canyon on projects of my own and other projects with other architects several times over my career, over 30 years of being here. So I'm pretty familiar with the area, and I think that there's always a dilemma in my mind around evaluating projects based on a singular element like square footage. It's not an appropriate way to evaluate architecture, but it is an important aspect of how to evaluate architecture and development. And that's why this board exists, because we're able to come up here and interpret and look past that and deal with things that don't always agree with each other. So the square footage, no doubt, with higher numbers causes some alarm, but when I review and look at this area, or in the area of development around it, there's this kind of tension between the amount of site disturbance that happens on a particular property and then the square footage of the house. Now, the way this is being proposed today is, and it may perhaps be disingenuous, but it is being proposed today is not affecting a large area of the site, right? And if you look at surrounding properties that are single story and this, if you were to go out I don't know, 500,000 feet in every direction. You see a lot of sprawling development and residences that are taking over the entire site with swimming pools and lawns and hardscape and driveways and sprawling single-story residences. So it kind of runs contrary to this kind of ecological concern of preserving the natural setting when you spread out a residence across the entire property. And when you do survey Toro Canyon, you'll find that there's massive site disturbance on most properties. Some houses are small, but the actual amount of disturbance, grading, and development of the site are massive. And that really doesn't show up in the FAR calculations. So it's very deceiving. I'm in favor of this site being treated appropriately. And the way the site is currently being treated with just a singular residence that's kind of consolidated in one spot, I think the applicant made the point, this is the right place to put the house. I don't disagree with that. And I appreciate the fact that it's not sprawling. So I'm a little bit trying to figure out how to mitigate that. Like, I don't want to see this go to a single story and spread out all over the site. I'm concerned about that because I think we're going to start taking down oak trees and getting into trouble messing with the site too much. I understand the concerns that are being addressed around the height, although I'm not sure if that's the biggest issue here. And I'm trying to figure out how to mitigate those two things. So as we move forward, I'll be looking at it from that lens. I just wanted to kind of put that context around why I'm saying what I'm saying, because I'm not pro 2 stories and I'm not against single stories. I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate for this property. One of the things that I think is a little bit disingenuous is to present a project like this without a garage or a place to store automobiles in Southern California, no less, in an area where I don't think these people are going to be walking to a bus stop every day to get to work or wherever it is they go do with their life. So, you know, if you build a house like this, it's going to have a garage. Let's not play games and come in here later with additions and so forth. Like, figure out where the garage goes and let us find a way to make that work. You know, if they want to propose an ADU, they're by right able to do that. And of course, they're able to present something like this without a garage by right, so they can do that. I just don't think it's, I think it's disingenuous, and I think where we need to go here is to work together, create solutions, not mess around. So I would appreciate understanding where a garage might go if it's not part of the proposal, maybe a future location for it, or some kind of information about how you tend to garage a 9,000 square foot home. What's that? Yeah, probably. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Like, from an architectural style, I don't have a problem with the architectural style per se. Oh, the other thing I wanted to correct in the record is that, and I'm pretty sure I'm the one that put this comment into the record initially, the first proposal that came forward is that go find a local architect to help you with this project. As far as I understand, the last 2 presentations, I don't think I was at the last one, but at this one, I think we're looking at a new architect sitting in front of us, or a new designer for that matter. So I think, you know, to assuage any concern that the public has about the applicant, you know, attempting to work with us or take our advice, it sounds like they did that. We should, and I think your point of this applicant coming forward in a, I think, pretty transparent manner with LiDAR scans and analysis is really showing us exactly what this thing's doing. And it's also giving us an opportunity to critique it quite robustly, which is, you know, is probably painful for the applicant, but I think we appreciate the attempt at the honesty, hopefully, that we're seeing here, what you're proposing. So, if I'm going to address anything about the architecture today, I'm really struggling with this large block of stone erupting from the side of the building. I can't get my head around why that's there. I don't think those type of moves are going to help your cause. I would review that and other elements of the project. I'm really not one to sit here and dictate to any free citizen of this country how much square feet they should have or not, or how they should live or not. So I really struggle with constraining square footage conversations in these reviews. there's an allowed square footage by use that isn't being exceeded. So, you know, for me, it's not the point. It's about compatibility and appropriateness to the site and making this all work. So, I won't be reviewing it from that standpoint. And I think lastly, I just wanted to make a comment about, let's see here. One more thing I wanted to bring up here. I've taken a page from Valerie here. I'm really going for it. Sorry. But I think this is a serious, concern here, and it needs some attention and thought. You know, variances and modifications are not problematic. They're actually necessary. If you create a model building code or a set of design standards to follow, you put a lot of gears into the machine, and the variances, the exceptions, and the modifications are like the oil in the engine and keep the gears from locking up. And everybody on every property enjoys the same opportunity to put that oil in the engine and keep the gears moving. So there are reasons for the exceptions, and there are reasons, and they're a valuable part of our process. So they shouldn't be construed as someone trying to get around on or run an end run on the ordinance and the zoning. And I think Valerie made a good point. It's like the real point here is to protect a precious resource. And Toro Canyon's no more precious than any other neighborhood in our community, and everybody who has a house and a street thinks their neighborhood is a very important place, just like the people of Toro Canyon do. And we're here to protect that. And I think our charter is to protect your property values and the quality of your neighborhood. And I think you can count on us to try and do our best to mitigate as best we can to make sure that we maintain that. So please understand that we're interested in that. And if we're talking about granting any kind of concession to the design ordinance or the design guidelines, please understand that those are necessary parts of our process, and they can actually yield compromise that may create opportunities to create a better project. And that's how we'll be looking at that. Having said all that, there's a lot of fat on this project that could be trimmed. It doesn't need to be big or small, bigger than it is. It could actually be reduced and constrained. And I think you're going to hear that from everybody that's looking at it. It's not going to be the way I've finally decided. I'm looking at it more in terms of the actual development of the site. That's why I'm very concerned about the fact that you're not showing us where the garage is going, or a future swimming pool, or all the rest of the stuff that usually go with these projects that end up completely obliterating the natural setting and develop the entire site. Does not appear to be a project that's just going to stay in its little box, and that concerns me. So I agree that we should be doing a site visit, a site walk, and a story polling process. And yeah, I encourage the applicant to think hard and long about this. I appreciate the applicant bringing aboard a capable design team. There's a lot of promise. These are very beautiful illustrations that indicates that there's an aesthetic being respected here, and you see it seems to be very competently done. So there's lots of tools in your toolbox. Please use them.
Robert?
Okay. I would like to see when you come back, if you could bring a detailed set of photos of the site, including if you have the ability to access from any of the neighbors that are adjacent, like aiming back towards the proposed location of the house. I think that would really help give us some context of what's going on. I think there should be a survey put into this that is just like an unedited survey that you have in your plot plan, and an existing landscape plan, of which are a little challenging for me to read. So if you could just have a normal survey, that would be great. with all the LiDAR information that you've provided, and that's not typical information that gets presented to a board like this. And so I would suggest doing, this is what I was leading up to with the idea of getting photos from the neighbors, but I think there could be some type of visual analysis of how this home is viewed by the neighboring properties, or is it viewed by them? Or so you could look at, I guess, one from neighboring properties, but probably more importantly from roads and, areas of public access. So, the board is tasked with trying to understand how this home fits into the neighborhood, probably most importantly, how it's interpreted from public right of way. So, some information to that effect would help if, and right now, with the way that this is presented, it feels like you kind of plopped a house right into a site without proposing anything else, and that's essentially what you're proposing. I would suggest that improvement to this would be that you could demonstrate that the house somehow relates to the site that it's on, and that should be through a comprehensive landscape plan that relates to the existing features of the site and what's proposed in the future. Right now, there's no context of that. When you come back, I would suggest that the FAR analysis is given to the planning staff, and that the planning staff can vet all the information so that the board can know that we have correct information. And then, yeah, my last, I guess, goes along with the first comment. The existing landscape plan is, you have symbols that all look very similar, and I can't really tell what is what. So if you could clearly label all the existing plants with text going to them, then we can know what's what, and then there should be a clear representation of what's proposed. So I will commend you that project has come a long way in this process. And I'm not sure if the reference of saying you want to put City Hall in the middle of Toro Canyon is really helping you out in this. I think you've taken a lot of cues for the architectural inspiration that has improved it. I still have the overall feeling that this has too much bulk and mass to fit into this area, but along with what Josh was identifying, I think it's good that it has a minimal footprint and how it touches the site. So the challenging thing to say that the house should, I guess, should go to one story and then expand outwards. But I think overall that it's inappropriate for it to be as high as it is proposed, unless you can demonstrate through more information that it really doesn't have a negative impact and is not visible from anybody. And I'm just not really sold on that. So, and I think that the site visit's really going to help everybody understand it.
Okay. Yeah, I echo a lot of those comments. I think I'll start with the positive. I think the positive is I can sympathize with your, predicament with this design. I think you have a constrained site. So I think you've documented that well. I think the drawings are beautiful. My issue is really, I just don't see improvement from the last round of, I think we can kind of like talk about the details of the house, but I think what you're seeing is a lot of struggle with just like, how do we move this forward for you? I can't get behind the bulk of the house. I think it's just too large. I think the way it's plopped on the site, I think that's kind of a harsh word a little bit, but I think we kind of talked about like how it feels like it's on the meadow that you talked about. There's no landscape plan. I just don't feel like it's in keeping with the Toro Canyon plan. I think this house just feels too bulky. I think I'm more inclined to believe the numbers provided by the speaker. I forgot your name, I'm sorry, but these are kind of the numbers I was cross-referencing on the assessor maps. They were closer to these numbers. But I think the point being, it just feels out of place with the neighborhood, and I think that's evidenced by all the speakers that you have here and all the involvement. I think this is, most people don't want to take time to come and complain about their neighbor's project. So I think to close, I think it's more I think you did a really nice job documenting everything. I think I would hate to see the next round you come back with something that's very similar to what we're seeing today. Because I don't think I would be able to support it as designed. So I think it definitely calls for a landscape plan, very cohesive landscape plan. I get the point about it being a existing lawn, but just a house of this caliber, it's you've done construction, this whole place will be ripped up to build something like this. It's not like we could just helicopter these houses in and put them on. That would be nice, obviously. So I think it calls for a comprehensive landscape plan, and I agree showing at least a garage, or like what are kind of some of the developments. Oftentimes we'll put like future ADU, but just it helps us understand how this is all going to be cohesive, because it's hard to get behind at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the concerns about just the mass bulk and scale being not compatible in the neighborhood. And I think the comments about not fully understanding the long-term site plan for the site is part of it, that we just don't understand if there's additional structures that need to be added I mean, this is an estate, right? It's a large scale home. And so to not have the elements that kind of make that site function, the garage, the trash enclosures, any sort of outdoor living spaces, it's like clearly missing. And to Kira's point there, just the actual construction process is going to cause more impact to the site than is being shown to be put back together. One question I had, these two elevations show what appears to be a significant retaining wall on the right-hand side, and I don't see that in the site plan. What is that?
I think we just have that graphically put in. There is a bit of an existing wall there. I mean, there's a step up, and that's actually where the current parking is happening. Is there a way you can bring up the site again?
Scale-wise,
Google Map?
scale it like
Can you bring up the site on Google Map? And zoom in. Yeah, you can see as you come up the drive on the right, it's of course it's all hidden by the trees, and that's where oh, there we go. You can see where that car is parked. There you go.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so to formalize, I would definitely say a full landscape and site plan for a project of this scale would be required. And civil, yes. And the notion that, I can't remember if this was something you noted or not, trying to standard the 50 cubic yard, just the over X for the foundation is going to be more than that. So really understanding the site and what it's going to require grading wise, and then what those extents are, and then those will dictate what at least the minimum of what the landscape area that's going to be impacted will be. Yeah.
Just under advisement to the applicant, given that you're being kind of hauled around in the conversation about unpermitted grading issues, the best way for you to mitigate that, in my mind, at this point, given that, this is not a courtroom, you're not on trial for doing that. We're not in any position to even evaluate it whatsoever. We can't go back and figure out what you did or didn't do. That conversation is going to keep showing up. So if it was me, I would, what my recommendation is that you hire a civil engineer, you review the project thoroughly, and you demonstrate that the project's not a detriment to the neighborhood or to the neighbors and to the ESH or EHS, or the environmentally sensitive habitat that's already on your property. That way we can put that to bed and understand the good intent of the design and how it's going to work. And then that'll obviously complement the landscape and the other issues that you've heard concern about with regard to construction, disturbance, and all that. So.
Right, so this item is agendized for further conceptual review. Normally we do see a landscape plan at concept level. And I don't know, with the architectural comments, does the board feel like it needs to return for further conceptual or, yeah?
Well, need to figure out it's gonna be 1 story or 2 story.
Yes. Yeah, and that, just to clarify for the applicant, that's why we didn't schedule the site visit, was because the application wasn't adhering to the previous comments. And so to avoid multiple site visits with multiple different versions of story polls, we felt like it was better to hear it. And then once the design has been cleared to move ahead into preliminary, makes more sense for us to request the story polls and do the site visit.
Madam Chair, do you think
Yeah.
it would be helpful for the applicant to vote on who would be amenable to raising the height limit?
I think not yet. I think the massing needs to be studied first, because when we approve design exemptions, it's usually for a specific need for a projection through that. It's not usually for an entire extra story, I mean, in general. And so I think until we have consensus on the board that that the mass bulk and scale and neighborhood compatibility are closer to being approvable, yeah.
We have to
just
make
need to see the-
findings, and you can review those findings too. And it's usually if you have a hardship or a really unusual geographic condition, but that's not really the case all over Toro Canyon area. There's lots of those kind of issues, or for really good design that somehow giving the exemption provides a better design. So they're tough findings to find.
Well, I have been requested by the client to, however this came out today, to have everybody come out to view the site even before we move on to any other stage. So if we could possibly plan that or put that on your,
Is the applicant requesting to do the story polls for us to review, or just doing the site visit?
we can do both if you want.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I disagree with that. I think everybody on this board is familiar with this neighborhood, knows this area. I would like to give the applicant the choice to figure out what direction they're going to go in. Because if I would be really frank with you, if you come back with the same project based on what you've heard, how it's going, I think you heard it from everybody. Yeah, let's go story poll it and do a site visit, and then we'll come back here and we'll vote on your project. And if it's going the way it's going now, there seems like a high likelihood that you're going to get a denial, which means that this board's going to deny your project, and then your next step is to appeal that. And that's one route to take. I've seen people do that. They come in here and they say, "Go, please deny my project. I don't want to deal with you anymore. I want to go to the Board of Supervisors or the Planning Commission." Or if you guys want to come back with some concessions and deal with the big issues that have been put in front of you, we'd be happy to review that again on a further conceptual, and then go test those assumptions in the neighborhood with story polling and a site visit to see if those mitigations actually make a difference and get the support of this board so that we can move it forward, and potentially the support of your neighborhood. I'm just speaking on a strategic level, professional to professional. If there's a way we can put this into your court to tell us, and you don't have to answer now, of course, I'm just putting this out there. If those are two different routes to go down. I think it's going to be a waste of time to go story poll what's already here, because I don't think there's any support for it. So I hate to see the applicant have to endure that cost and put that dilemma or put that burden on us and all that. Yeah, I hope I'm being clear, and I'm not trying to be.
Well, it's just one of the things about the site that doesn't quite reveal itself unless you actually visit it is the back definitely, significantly steps up. The neighbor is a full story above us.
Well, if the owner's okay with us stopping by and visiting the site, any of us can go visit the site between now and the next hearing, which is a much lesser degree of, or we can have a formal site visit and have,
that
public site visit.
That would be the first step in the right direction for my client. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so further conceptual, and we'll schedule a site visit without story polls for this next step.
And then that'll be followed by another presentation.
another presentation. Probably
Yeah.
my site visit was so yeah.
It's only a matter of money, and I'm sure the applicant's time is costing a lot more than the story poles. So that's what I would do. I would spend a little bit of money, get the story poles,
Mhm.
and
Are you suggesting get the story pole?
final answer, because otherwise it's unclear, you know,
Oh, okay.
seems to me.
Yeah, I'll bring it up with my client to get it out. Okay.
One benefit of doing the story polls now, if you follow it up with photography, like Kira's pointed out to you, like photos from the public right away. I can't emphasize enough how important that was, that comment that he made, like creating a photo essay of how this project is viewed from neighboring properties, if they'll grant you access to their property to show you how it affects them, but certainly from the public right away. If the story polls are included in those photographs, then we have a baseline to review as you move forward to see if there's any significant reductions or changes to the project that we can compare against this current
Starts to build this
proposal.
forward. Yeah.
So there
I see where
may
you're
be a
going.
benefit to you by doing that, so that to kind of cut down on the hearsay about what's actually happening. Because as we move through this, you're going to find that you're going to make adjustments, and not everybody's going to understand that.
Right.
And they're going to be stuck in their arguments until you can show them you've mitigated it. You know, so it's always nice to have everybody arguing about the same
I'll
thing.
see if I can get that ordered. You know, I'll. He's watching this as well, so he's going to be requesting it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And you can't see it from the public right away.
Great. We have one more. I have to recuse from this.
Is the applicant for the next item online? Yeah. Right. Item number 8, the Lurie edition. Request of Shelby Jank, agent for the property owner Sarah and Jesse Lurie, for conceptual, preliminary, and final review of a 49 square foot mudroom addition, new trellis, and new site walls to an existing single-family residence. The following structures exist on the parcel: 2,600 square foot single-family residence, 480 square foot garage, 630 square foot guest house, and about 1,800 square foot barn. The proposed project will require approximately 170 cubic yards of cut and approximately 140 cubic yards of fill. Property is a 6.41 acre parcel. The applicant wants to introduce ourselves.
Yes. Hi there. Thank you so much. I'm Shelby Janke from Subs Land Use Consulting, agent for the owner. We have on the call also Micah Beving, architect, William Bishop, landscape architect, and our civil engineer will be available if necessary, Trevor Lordson. So I'll just give a quick brief introduction and then pass it off to the design team. So as you read in the project description, this is a pretty small scope project here. 49 square foot addition to the existing residence to create a small mudroom entry to the home. The project also includes a new trellis and some landscape and hardscape improvements to the property. Those site improvements are really just replacing and improving what was already on site. There's really very little that's, completely newly introduced. And then I'll just mention the home is currently undergoing an interior remodel that's under an issued building permit. And I do want to clarify that the grading quantities on the agenda are, those are old, and we've since reduced those quite a bit. So the project only includes 50 cubic yards of cut and 60 cubic yards of fill. This is located in the Toro Canyon Plan area, and we designed the project with those policies in mind to be consistent with those, such as avoiding any steep slopes, keeping the grading very minimal. And then I will just note there is, again, one tree proposed for removal, 4 new mitigation trees. And where we're at in the process is that we've been working really closely with our planner And the application is deemed complete. So really we're, again, as you mentioned, we're here for concept, prelim, and final. We feel that, it's a fairly minimal scope, as you'll see as we walk you through the plans a little bit more, and we're eager to hear your comments. So Micah, if you're available, I would like to pass it off to you to walk them through the plans.
Is anyone else on?
I think Micah's here. Are you able to unmute yourself? I think he's muted.
Micah, if you can hear us, we believe that you're muted right now.
I see his name on here. Oh. Well, while he's working on that, I can start kind of just taking you through the plans.
That'd be great, because it does look like a pretty minimal.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal. So if you want, staff, if you would please scroll us down to sheet number, how about number 4? Actually, sorry, can you back up to number 3, please? That's the demo existing site plan, just to give you a sense of the existing. Again, you'll see the existing residence, existing detached garage, and the red is what's being demoed. Now, please, if you could scroll to the proposed site plan.
Can you go to just go to the demo plan?
The one that
yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, thanks.
This is what you're just describing, right?
Yes, perfect. So you'll see again, I mean, there's kind of minimal demo to the existing house. You'll see a small entry step that's being demoed. That's the location of the new mudroom, and then some site work. And now if you would mind scrolling down to sheet number 6, I believe is the proposed site plan. So this one works. Yeah, let's go here. So again, this is proposed. The mudroom entry, again, it's quite small. It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see a small grayed out rectangle. That's the new addition. There's really no new, the height is not increased. There's really, minimal effect on the massing at all. There you go. Thanks so much. That new addition. And then you will see the, new patio improvements, as well as, there's a rear patio, a front patio where the new trellis is, entry area. And would you mind please scrolling down to the floor plan? So here's the demo floor plan again. There's minimal to see there. Thank you so much. Here's our proposed floor plan. Again, the only real change is that new mudroom entry. If you want to just kind of move through, I think we can skip this. You can just see the roof plan. Here, we'll pause here for just a moment if you don't mind. On that northeast elevation is where the addition is. It's just that grayed out portion that you'll see. So everything is, it's to match the existing home, colors, materials. I think we can keep scrolling through. If we'll just pause for a moment here on that front patio section, you can see the new trellis. And then again, the front patio plan, you'll see the new patio area. I'm going to keep going through the next sheet.
My apologies, Shelby. I just
No
now
worries.
was able to
Thanks,
get that
Micah.
reconnected. Let me know if you want me to take over or let you continue.
Well, why don't you take over if there's anything I've missed so far, and then I think we can probably pass it over to Will here pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, I think, as the board kind of represented the project, the 49 square foot addition, and the replacing of basically 2 trellises that were on the property with new trellises that are made of steel. And then the rest of it is just hardscaping and landscaping around there, in addition to the spa. So hopefully that it sums up the project. It's certainly hopefully not as divisive as the last project we all reviewed, but yeah, I just want to make sure I'm available for questions.
Great. Will, do you have a moment just to kind of quickly mention some key points about landscaping?
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Thank you, board, and good afternoon.
My name is William Bishop. I'm with Arcadia Studio Landscape Architects. Yeah, like Micah and Shelby both mentioned, this is a really simple project, at least architecturally. It's just a small mudroom that they're adding at the back of the property. I'd say 90% of the hardscape is, well, maybe 75% of the hardscape is just replacing what was already there. The patios are where there were existing patios already. The only like maybe significant thing that we're doing on the backside is we're adding a wood deck where there was once a concrete patio. It's really close to a redwood tree, and we're trying to preserve that as much as possible. So we figured a wood deck would be a little easier to construct around those roots. And it's connecting to kind of a prefab spa that is also going to have a wood deck surrounding it. But none of that is really even visible from the road. We're proposing sort of like a native low water use landscape to sort of frame all of this, and yeah, just trying to keep it simple, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Does that conclude your?
Yeah, I think so. The trellises were existing. We're replacing kind of what was there just with steel trellises. Again, we wanted to keep it simple, but other than that, that's really the extent of our work. So if you guys have any questions.
Okay, great. Is there a materials board?
You know, we don't have a full materials board. The intention is to match existing colors, materials. There should be some photos in the file on that other one. Micah, do you want to walk?
That answers.
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, on the landscape plans, we have a couple of images in there for the, oh, and then you got some photos there. But essentially the mudroom will just match the color and style of the existing house. And the roofing will match the style of the existing house as well. And I believe, let me just see what sheet it's on. I think it's on
No,
one of
that's
the
okay.
lands.
That's clear. I think it's on 18.
Okay, yeah. I think the elevation sort of shows
Okay.
what was there
Yeah.
before and what will be.
All right, thank you. No, I think
Sure.
that's clear.
Okay.
Go to questions from the board. Any questions? No? Okay. Are there any public comment?
Madam Chair, we have nobody in the attendees column, and we have nobody signed up for public comment and no letter submitted.
Great, thank you. Move to comments. Valerie?
It looks very simple and well done, and it's ready for a motion.
Any additional comments? Well, yes, they're here for concept, preliminary, and final.
I know.
Yep.
Everybody.
They were already completed they stated in the beginning that they've completed the applications.
Well, do we have any comments? So I'll make a motion to final approval as submitted.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank
Great-
you very
great-
Thank you, board.
Thanks
All
so
right,
much.
one more
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
case of business. We did not take a motion on having the meeting starting for consent at 9 a.m. and our general meeting starting at 9:15. We just need a quick first and a second.
I'll make a motion to start the meeting at 9.
Robert first, second by Josh, carried by a vote of 6-0 to move our hearings to 9 a.m. consent and 9:15 standard agenda. Okay.
Thank you.